to that overlay page, and I'm gonna show you that you can actually edit the overlay. So say you didn't like exactly what it looked like and you want to edit something, you're gonna go back, you're gonna go to my overlays, and you're going to go to one of these. Like I said, I was messing with this earlier, so I already have like a lot of stuff I was messing with, but I'll go back to the PUBG overlay, and you will click this little pencil. It says overlay editor. Click that. Just go there and let that load up. And right here, this is called your overlay editor. Here you can mess with everything. You can change anything. You can change the handle, you can change the webcam height, you can change the latest tips to have it read whatever you want. Everything on the screen is fully customizable. And you have widgets, you have data you can use, like your latest follower. You can add text, you can add images, you can add videos. Everything that you need to edit is right here. And when you're done editing it, you're just gonna hit save, make sure it saves, and then you're gonna go to launch. And either you can copy this link and just post it back in the browser source, or if you, once you hit save, like I'll show you an example. Say I changed this name from Top Tip to Big Homie, right? Oh, all right. Say I changed that, right? All right. It says Top Homie right there, right? Okay. You're gonna come back here. It says Top Tip here, right? When you go to hit save, it saves. Check this out. It says Top Homie. It's literally really easy, man. It's such a lifesaver. The overlay editor is really simple. It's amazing, man. It's really amazing. All right, so now I'm gonna take you to the tipping page. Stream Elements is really cool because they don't have any hidden fees or distractions. It's really simple to set up as well. You're just gonna go to your tipping settings. You're gonna connect your PayPal account. As you see, I already have mine connected. And then you're just gonna copy this URL link to your tipping page. So Control C, and then you're gonna go to your streamer dashboard on Facebook and go to Go Live. Find your donation link, your old one, and replace it. Like I said, I already had mine set up, so this is mine. Pretend this is the old one. I'm gonna delete it and place it right back there, and you're set up. All right, so cool. You got everything set up. You got your donation link set up. You have your overlay for your stream looking nice and spicy. Last thing I want to show you is OBS Live. Like I said, it's an add-on for OBS Studios, and it makes everything super cool. So what you're gonna do, you're gonna go back to your stream elements. Right here on the left hand side, you're gonna see OBS Live. You're gonna click that and scroll down a little bit, and you're gonna download it. When you download it and everything installs, but it's really simple, really quick, you're gonna pull this up. You're gonna connect to your you're gonna connect to it, and you're gonna come here. You'll see 3 different sections. First section is your activity feed. You'll see all your followers, your alerts, your donations, your tippings, your stars. Basically any alert will be right here. You can change the size of it if you want it to be bigger, smaller, what have you. Your viewers will also be here. You can pause your alerts if you're getting flooded with them. You can just pause them to have like a little talk. You can skip an alert. You can mute an alert. You can replay an alert. It's all right there in your activity feed. You also have a chat, so you don't have to have a separate section on your monitor for your chat. You can literally just pull this out and just have it on one monitor, and it has everything, which is super convenient for me because I'm always having like 10-20 different windows up when I stream. But this will cut down on a lot of space for me. All right, so cool. You have your overlay set up. You have your tipping page set up. You're using OBS Live like a boss. I think you're good to go. If you have any problems or any questions, don't hesitate to hit up Stream Elements. They're on Twitter and they're on Discord. Their Discord is discord.gg/SE. They're available 24/7, and you know, you can also, not even just for the help, you can also just be a part of a great community of streamers. So other than that, thank you so much for watching this tutorial video. I hope I helped you out a little bit. Go chase that dream, baby. Ricky Live. I'm out. Bye.
Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you how to stream on Facebook Gaming using Stream Elements and OBS. OBS is a software that you use to capture your game and create your scene and then stream directly to Facebook Gaming. Stream Elements is a software that allows you to add widgets, overlays, and things like that onto your screen that will then be sent to Facebook Gaming so that you can have cool alerts and cool little notifications pop up while you're streaming. Today I'm going to show you how to get a basic stream set up and how to connect all these things together so that you are ready to go live on Facebook Gaming. So let's get started. Before we begin, if you have any questions on how to set up your stream or any questions about Facebook Gaming in general, you can always follow me on Facebook Gaming at the link down in the description. Come into the chat while I'm live and hopefully I can help you answer your question and help you get your stream on the right path. All right, so the first thing you're going to have to do is set up a gaming video creator page on Facebook. It's important that it has to be a gaming video creator or else you will not be able to stream to Facebook Gaming. I'm not going to go into too many details about how to set up a Facebook Gaming page, but I have linked in the description Facebook's instructions on how to get that all set up. One thing I will recommend though is making sure your Facebook Gaming page is completely set up before you start streaming. I know it's going to be really tempting to get all this set up as fast as possible and start streaming, but it's going to be super helpful for people to hit that follow button on you if your gaming page is set up. They need to click on your profile and see some pictures, some content, something about you. Seeing all of those things on your Facebook Gaming page is going to help motivate them to hit that follow button. So make sure you have your Facebook Gaming page set up with some information before you start streaming. Another thing about setting up a Facebook page is that it's going to have to be linked to your personal Facebook page. It's the only way to set up a page on Facebook. Now, after you get all that set up, you're going to go over to streamelements.com. You're going to sign into Stream Elements using the Facebook login that you use to create your Facebook Gaming video creator page. Now we're going to pick a theme overlay. So what you're going to do is go over here to this themes gallery. For this tutorial, we're going to pick a random theme pack to use. They have tons of theme packs for you to choose. These are Valorant specific. These are Hearthstone specific. Personally, I like to go to sort by popularity and pick some of these really basic ones. For this video, we're going to use the gray area super theme. When you hit create, it is going to give you a preview of what your stream would look like with these overlays. So all you have to do is type in your overlay name and click create my overlay. It's going to give you this pop-up. You're just going to go ahead and click see theme in my overlays because we are going to make some changes. We're going to start off with this gray area in-game overlay. So go ahead and click edit on that. Now, when you click edit, it's going to bring you to this studio mode. So first thing is let's drag this out of the way and take a look at our game overlay here. We've got social links down here in the bottom left. We have two different cam borders. This is going to be your alert box, which is where your followers and likes and stuff like that will pop up right here. And then we've got more information up here, follower, supporter, and tip. For my stream, I like to use the 4:3 instead of the 16:9 camera. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide the 16:9 and make the 4:3 visible. My camera is going to be over here on the right. So I'm going to move that over here to the right side of the page. And I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Just like that. Now, if you want to change any of these social handles, all you have to do is click on the handle you want to change. It's going to highlight over here on the left side which text box it is. Then you just go down here to settings and it'll give you the message. And then you just type in your Instagram handle. And it'll change it right down there. You can move stuff around by using your mouse. However, it does like to be kind of snappy like this when I really want it to be in the middle. So what I like to do is use the arrow keys to move things up and down precisely by a pixel. However, in my opinion, I don't really like the clutter this causes on my screen. So I'm going to delete most of this stuff. The only thing I'm not going to delete is this top follower over here because it's really the only thing you can get when you're such a new streamer. But I'm going to make it bigger and have it kind of sit on the outside of my webcam border here. So to make your text bigger, you're going to click on the top follower right over here, go over to text settings and increase your font size. I'm going to do the same thing with the actual name of the follower. Increase that font size so that it's a little bit readable because you got to think that a lot of people are going to be watching you just on their phones. So it's going to be better if you have the text size a little bit bigger. Now, another thing on this gray in-game overlay is our alert box. So this alert box is where all the notifications are going to pop up when someone likes your stream, follows you, gives you stars, anything like that. Now, as of right now, there's nothing in it, but we can use stream elements to emulate our alert box. So all you have to do is click emulate and choose a follower event, and it will pop up right here as a pretend follower. You can see that it popped up here, and it changed my top follower to Elena. So now that I've got it kind of the way I want it, I'm going to go ahead and click save. It's very important that you always have to hit click save in the top right in order to get it saved. So now what we're going to do is we're going to download OBS. The version of OBS that I prefer is the one that Stream Elements has modified for their platform, and that is OBS Live. You're going to click on OBS Live right over here on the left, and it will give you a download prompt for OBS Live. Once you download OBS Live, it's going to prompt you to sign in. You're just going to sign in using Facebook just like you did on the Stream Elements website. All right, so now we're going to move on over here to OBS. I'm going to show you how to get that set up. So right now I've got a new scene down here, and we're going to start adding some sources. Obviously, the first thing you're going to want is a webcam. All right, so the first thing you're going to want to set up is your webcam. So in order to do that, go ahead and click this plus button, go to video capture device, create a new one, and click OK. That's going to bring up some of these settings here. You're going to make sure that you have your device selected. I would honestly just leave all of this as default and then click OK. So now we have our webcam in our OBS scene. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to add that overlay that we just made in Stream Elements. So if we go back to Stream Elements, we're going to click on these three dots on the overlay that we edited earlier and click copy URL. We go back to OBS and we're going to use the plus button and go to browser. We're going to create a new browser. We're going to click OK. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take the URL that you copied from Stream Elements and paste it right here in the URL. Then you're going to set your width and height to 1920 by 1080 and click OK. Now my overlay has popped up, and now I just need to get my camera centered underneath this camera border. Now a tip here is that you can accidentally click randomly and accidentally start dragging your overlay around when you really want it to be in one spot. So a tip here is to go ahead and click this lock button. That makes it to where it's locked in place until you unlock it again, and you can't accidentally drag it around. Also, what you're going to want to make sure is that your webcam is below your in-game overlay on the sources. What happens is if you have your video capture device above your overlay, then it's going to be on top of your camera border, which is not what you want. You want it below your camera border so that it gives the border a nice clean look on OBS. Now we've got that set up, I'm going to go ahead and lock it, the game capture. Now for the game capture, I've got Legends of Runeterra running here in the background, and it's underneath my OBS. So to set up game capture, we're going to go to the plus button and we're going to set up game capture. Now there are multiple ways that you can actually capture your game. My preferred method is game capture. What most people think of is actually display capture. Display capture will capture your entire screen no matter what is on it. However, game capture is only going to capture your game. What that means is if you're using only one monitor and you want to switch and check on chat or switch and check on OBS, if you're using display capture, OBS is going to pop up on your stream and everyone will be able to see it. If you're using game capture, it's not going to do that. Game capture is only going to capture your game window. So we're going to set up a new game capture by clicking on game capture, creating a new one, and clicking OK. Now you're going to go over here to this mode and you're going to change it to capture specific window. Then you're going to click the window and you're going to choose the program of the game you're running. My example is Legends of Runeterra. That's going to pop up here right here on this preview, and then you're going to hit OK. Now we've run into that same problem that I mentioned earlier. What you're going to want to do is make sure that your game capture is on the bottom of your sources. That way your webcam and your overlay are presented on top of your game. Like so. Now we're also going to lock game capture so we don't accidentally move it. Now there are also some settings in OBS that we need to change as well. If you go over here to File and Settings, what we're going to do is we're going to go to Output and make sure your output mode is switched to Advanced instead of Simple. For your encoder, I would recommend if you have an NVIDIA graphics card to go ahead and use NVIDIA NVENC. This uses the custom transcoder chip inside your graphics card so you don't have any performance drops while you're gaming. Your bitrate is how fast you're sending data to Facebook Gaming. I set my bitrate to 6,000.
Welcome, my name is Scott, and if you're here because you want to make some really cool intros for your live stream using OBS Studios, you've come to the right place. We're going to set up making countdowns and making the countdown end when your music ends, inserting text, inserting images. It is going to be super cool, super fun, and the tutorial is going to be really easy. Stay tuned for the details. If you're interested in tools and techniques to make your YouTube channel grow faster, subscribe and click the bell for new notifications.
Now, to get to your stream on Facebook, you're going to go to your Facebook
live
page,
streams
go
every
to Creator
Tuesday
Studio,
at 7 o'clock
on the left.
p.m.
Once you enter the
Eastern
Creator
Standard
Studio,
Time.
go down to
I do the
Creator
heavy-duty research,
Tools,
and you
and
get the
it's going to select the
subscribers.
live dashboard.
Yeah. So when starting your live stream, it's always a good idea to have like an intro screen with some music playing and maybe a countdown timer just to let people know that the show is about to start. It lets the people build up and have some interest so that when you start, you've got an audience right away. So we're going to open up OBS and look at some of the elements,
in order to actually go live or even test your broadcast, you're going to want to go right here to the Go Live button.
Okay, I'm going to open up OBS and show you an example of what I'm talking about. Here we go.
So go ahead and go to Go Live. Now that we're on the Go Live page, there's a couple of one-time things you need to do in OBS in order to get ready and get started. What we're going to have to do is take our stream key from our Facebook gaming page and put it into OBS.
Okay,
now, Facebook does things a little bit different compared to other live streaming services. Just like other live streaming services, you'll have a stream key.
So what I'm going to do is hit the plus key here.
However, on Facebook, by default, your stream key is only valid for 7 days. After those 7 days, you'll have to go back and get another stream key. However, you can do the normal thing and go over here to use a persistent stream key. Go ahead and check that box. It'll generate your
now I'm going to move, because I have a bunch of other scenes.
This is one that you can copy and paste into OBS.
I'm going to move demo to the top. So I do that by hitting these up keys.
So what we're going to do is we're going to copy that stream key back over here in OBS. We're going to go to File,
add an image.
Settings.
I'm going to place an image background.
We'll go to Stream. Make sure your service is set to Facebook Live. The server can be default. And you're going to paste that stream key right here. One thing that's different about Facebook Gaming is that you can actually start your stream in OBS,
after you've
but
created
not
all
start
your
your
sources,
stream
you may
live
want
on
to turn them off.
Facebook
Let me
at
show
the
you what I
same
mean. So
time.
real quick,
So what you're going to do is on OBS, you're going to go ahead and click Start Streaming, and it's going to prompt you with this little window right here. If you were to use this bottom function right here, you could give your stream a title, description, and game, and immediately go live on Facebook Gaming. However, I like to use this top function, and that's what we're going to do for this tutorial. This lets you view your stream on Facebook before you go live. So go ahead and select this top one and click Go Live, and it's going to start your stream on OBS over to Facebook Gaming. Now that we're over here on Facebook Gaming, you can actually see my stream right here in the bottom right corner coming from OBS. Or if you scroll all the way to the top,
make sure you create a folder that you won't delete by mistake.
One thing I really like about Facebook Gaming is that before you start, you can actually check on your stream health to see your upload video bitrate, your frames per second, and your audio bitrate before you even go live. You can use these tools to make sure that your internet is working fine before you go live, so you don't run any problems while you're live. To start your stream, you're going to go over here to the left and choose a share to page you manage. It's going to be the gaming video creator page that you made earlier. Now, there's a difference here between the live video title and your actual description of your stream. The live video title is really only present if someone's scrolling on your actual page, and they'll see that there. The gaming description, however, though, is much more important. Because this is what people will see when they're scrolling that we can apply to the image. So make sure you take some time and kind of craft what you want your description to be. The live video title doesn't really bear too much weight. Now, as you keep scrolling down, you're going to keep this selected to gaming, and you're going to tag the game that you're playing. So mine would be Call of Duty Warzone. You can also choose to upload a thumbnail image for your stream that people will see as they're scrolling on their news feeds. I will say though that thumbnail images don't really pertain very much on Facebook, mostly because as people are scrolling on their timelines, your stream is going to start automatically while they're scrolling. So they're really only going to see the thumbnail for a half a second or a second maybe. Although that might be because I have good internet, so it kind of just loads and stuff. But it's whatever for you. Another option that you have is you can actually publish it as a test broadcast. So by checking this box down here, you can actually stream to Facebook, but it's only going to be visible for your profile page. You can use this to actually post a stream to Facebook that's only visible to you, so that you can really make sure that everything is set up really nice. Now, when you're finally ready to go live, you're just going to click this Go Live button right here in the bottom corner. When you actually do go live, right over here on the left is going to be the chat log. And right over here on the right is your stream activity. So anything from likes, shares, stars, supporters, followers, anything like that is going to pop right over here on the right side in chronological order so that you can read it off on stream. All right, guys, so that's pretty much all the basics that you need to know about how to stream to Facebook Gaming using Stream Elements and OBS Live. All right, guys, if you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up down below. Comment down in the section what you would like to see about how to get started on Facebook Gaming. Remember, if you have any other questions, make sure to follow me on Facebook Gaming and come into the chat anytime that I'm live and ask me any questions you have about Facebook Gaming or how to get started. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope I catch your stream. Oh. Got him.
Adam Maripos Vox here, and I am in the middle of completely overhauling my entire streaming setup. I have not streamed in months up until last night at the time of recording, and we had a fantastic return to streaming. And I'm going to be doing a lot of different stream setups. You've already seen me build that RGB glowing streaming PC in the background. We've got a few more coming, and we've got a lot of streaming content in the works. With that, I'm doing a tutorial here sponsored by Nerd or Die on how I set up my insane streaming layout and overlays and all of that you all saw in my Twitch stream over at twitch.tv/eposvox. And we're going to be getting to it thanks to Nerd or Die. So link to them that tells them I sent you will be in the description below. Be sure you check it out. I am very excited for this tutorial. Alright, since today's tutorial is of course sponsored by Nerd or Die, we will be picking out and utilizing some of their presets and stream packages that you can get starting at $0. They do have some free resources on the site and some tutorials of their own, but we're going to check out some of the paid options and see what you get and how to set them up. But first we need to set up OBS. Now I am using OBS to record this tutorial, of course, but I do have a separate instance launched, and we are just going to make a brand new profile for my Twitch setup here. Actually, I have a Twitch profile. I'm going to delete it. It was a test. I don't need it. You may notice from time to time when I'm setting this stuff up, I have a lot of stupid scene collections from when I'm testing stuff, but we're just gonna start from scratch. And then same thing, new profile, Twitch 2019. I like to keep them named the same to match them up and always know which ones I'm using. Up in here to the settings. Now we are going to be doing mostly 1080p based streaming. So while my main desktop is 4K, I'm going to leave it at 1080p for now, and we are going to be streaming. I'm going to start my test streaming at 1600 by 900. You can run mostly 1080p based streaming. So while my main desktop is 4K, I'm going to leave it at 1080p for now, and we are going to be streaming. I'm going to start my test streaming at 1600 by 900 and 59.94 frames per second, of course. Now, you can play around with different scaling and things like that, and actually I am going to leave the base resolution 1080p so I can record full res recordings. But there is a difference between putting your scaling here in the video settings and in the output tab. If you go under advanced, you can actually tell it to rescale the output. There is actually a difference in that, and that if you do it in the output settings, that actually puts that workload on the computer or on the encoder versus putting it on just your graphics card. So if you're running into performance issues, it might be worth just dropping it down in here and unchecking it in output settings. I should be fine, but it's worth noting. All right, so we're going to focus on streaming settings here. I will be using X264 in this instance, although I do have another machine that has an NVIDIA RTX card that I would be using NVINC for. But for now, we're going to be using that. We're going to put CBR. It is going to be 6K minus the default audio is 160, so 5840, I believe. Yeah, do keep in mind that max Twitch bitrate recommendation is actually video plus audio, and you can technically send 6K video, but you can run into some issues. That's fine. We're going to drop it down to medium. Actually, we're going to do fast for now, just to keep it safe. I'm going to leave the rest of these blank. Keyframe interval set to 2, because this is going to Twitch. Recording, we are going to do full resolution recordings. I'm going to set it to my dedicated recording drive. That's over here in F, record. I'm going to make a new folder. Actually, I have a folder here called Twitch. That way I know these are specifically my Twitch settings. Now, I am going to use MKV because if things crash or whatever, I can still use the file. I'm going to set it up to record at least 5 audio tracks. And we're going to use the NVINC encoder. Default resolution, I'm going to come over here to CQP, and that's going to be 14, which is kind of visually lossless-ish. And then under preset, high quality, profile high, and just going to leave the rest on defaults at the moment. Under audio, I'm going to leave the default track for Twitch at 160 bitrate, so I'm going to call this Twitch down mix. But then for the others, these will be my recording tracks. So I'm going to set them the highest that it will let me, which is, of course, 320 kilobits per second. And these will be my other settings. So we're going to have mic, desktop, console, if I have a game console input, Discord, and so on. And then we are going to set up a replay buffer so I can save out specific clips a lot easier. We're going to set it to a 45-second duration. And hit apply, and it will do what it can to maintain a replay buffer of 45 seconds. You will, of course, if you're using a replay buffer, need to come in here and set a hotkey for saving the replay buffer. You don't need a hotkey for starting and stopping it, but for actually saving the replay buffer, which is right here. I already have a button on my Elgato Stream Deck, so I'm going to press it. Alt F8 is apparently it. I'm going to hit apply, and we're good to go. Despite what other tutorials may tell you, partial and 601 and NV12 are the best settings when you're live streaming to Twitch. You can kick it up to 709, kick it up to full. You can run into some issues on some web browsers playing back the stream with regards to color representation. So, we've got OBS configured to live stream to Twitch. Even though we don't have anything in it, we're going to get set into that. So, we want to make a couple default scenes here. So, this is scene 1. I'm going to add this and make it desktop. And I'm just going to add a display capture. We're going to add one. It's going to be webcam. Hello. I do not have my main light on. My head is hurting. I don't want it on, so it's going to be a little dark in here today. You can see the kitty playing behind me. Hello, kitty. Now we're going to start building out our layout. We could set up some other scenes, but for now we're going to do this. So you can browse nerderdie.com. I do have an affiliate link that, well, it's not an affiliate. Well, I guess technically it is an affiliate link, but a link since they're sponsoring me to let them know that I sent you and all that good stuff. So be sure to use that if you want to go check out their stuff. You can hit shop now or check out their, top layouts here. And then they have links for their tutorials and stuff. We're going to hit shop now. And you can sort by popularity, price, or you can sort by categories because they have backgrounds, overlays, custom scripting, Twitch panels, alerts, yada, yada, yada. I've actually picked out a few that I really like. That is, of course, the Retrowave stream package, since, a lot of my channel and branding is 80s and 90s and 2000s retro stuff. This obviously appeals to me, even if I don't want to use the super cliche graphic that this is. That's overdone at this point, but I could use some of the elements. Pretty Sprite sound effects. They have some pretty cool sound effects. Then there is this cool little alert system that scrolls in the name. Just does a cool little effect with the text there. I like that a lot. I may use that. We've got these overlays and widgets that have this little kind of like pixel confetti effect. I kind of like that. And then we have this interface one, which is all like super hacker theme or something, which is kind of cool. We may use that. Now I am going to start with the Retrowave package and we will build from there. So I may not use all of these in this video. Now, when you check out a package, you will be given screenshots as to what's in it. So you can view here, okay, we've got kind of an overlay, and it's got new follower, subscriber, yada, yada layouts. It's got stream starting and be right back screens you can customize. You've got different color options. You've got specific alert types you can choose, so you don't got to use this specific one. You can, bounce them around if you like. Kind of neat. You've got panels that you can use, including Photoshop files, so you can actually manually edit them yourself if you have a Photoshop compatible program and know how to use it. And then there's this cool little, I believe this is a stinger transition. And then there's lots of information, usually on pretty much all of these I've looked at, with regards to what they have, including video demos and other related stuff. Now, when you go to buy it, there's actually a few different options. You can buy everything, or you can buy just the alerts, or you can buy just the overlays, or you can buy, or there's free extras you can get, and you can tell it, I don't want to pay anything. I recommend supporting the people who make this and supporting Nerd or Die for distributing it, but that is an option available to you. I am going to start with the full stream package for this one, and maybe we'll bit and piece some of these together. I'm going to add it to my cart. That is the full stream package we are going to check out. Upon checking out and completing your purchase, you will be given a set of download links. You do have limited downloads, so keep track of these original zip files, because you can technically run out of them. but you will be given download files for your specific package that you chose. So for example, the Stinger and free extras are a separate download from the overlays, which are a separate download from the alerts, but you can download them all here, so I'm going to save them. 7-zip is, of course, free and open source and multi-platform. I'm going to right-click them all, 7-zip, extract here for convenience. Not always the best way to do things, but I'll do that here. All right, we can start building our layout. So we have overlay version 1.1. There are Streamlabs OBS specific files. So for example, if you have Streamlabs OBS, you can actually just import this overlay preset, which will do a lot of the work for you. And if there's enough demand, I will do a separate Streamlabs OBS tutorial for this. I did want to say before we get too far into actual OBS setup, if you're using Streamlabs OBS, this is why people think it's a lot easier to set up, is a lot of these integrations are built in. You don't have to go to a web browser. And in a lot of these layouts that you buy, they will say if they're Streamlabs OBS optimized or not. In the Streamlabs OBS folder, there's actually a .overlay file that you can import into Streamlabs OBS itself. So you go to the settings cog, you go to scene collections, and then import overlay file and find your specific overlay. So I'm going to copy my directory here, Retrowave Streamlabs preset overlay, and it's going to take a minute to process everything and figure out what the heck you just did. And wham slam, thank you ma'am. They even have a welcome screen so it can tell you to follow their guide and everything. It's really, really cool. And they have a lot of this set up already. So a lot of these steps that I show in normal OBS are already here. I'm not gonna lie, having already set up a lot of this stuff, I'm kind of annoyed that it's so easy. They make it really easy for you. You've got a PSD file for Photoshop of the specific logo options and an example of what that might look like. Pretty neat. I went ahead and opened that up in the background here. And then you have overlays in the different colors that you want, as well as the panels and some widgets. All packaged together with a README and lots of good information. Here, let's check out the README. Yeah, it's that README was warning me that, hey, I need fonts that are used here in the setup that I may not have on my machine. It tells you the terms and conditions of using it, who actually made it. You can check out their vendor-specific page, as well as installation guides, tutorial videos, and things like that, which is really handy. So I am going to actually close this so I can actually install the fonts that, you know, they suggest. And these will all be freely available fonts, although these are from a couple different websites, but DeFont seems to be the most common. I'm going to make a fonts folder in this folder just so I have all this stuff together because I will be moving this to multiple computers. I believe I already have that font installed, but just in case. All right, so for Google Fonts, if you ever encounter these are a little confusing. You hit select this font. And then nowhere else on the page does it look like you can download it. But you click here where it said whatever family selected, and then that little down arrow is for downloading. It's really weird. They do not make it obvious because it's meant to be used on the web. All right, and then once again, I'm going to browse to the fonts folder, right-click all of the zip files, and for 7-zip, WinRAR also has this option. Extract here. Ideally, it just, yeah, you have all of the TTF files, so you can go to View, Group by Type, select all of the font files. They might be TTF or OTF. Right-click and hit Install. It's that easy. Now I have all the fonts required, so we can go back here to our overlay, and I should be able to open up that Photoshop file without any major issues, assuming the fonts are still the same name. Hey, look at that. They are. All right, so we have that one, we have that one, and we have that one. I'm going to go with this one for now. I don't actually know what this is going to be used for at the moment, because I didn't read the instructions. That's why you should. You can see here the letters kind of get a little close together, so we can use Photoshop's controls to kind of fix that. Holy guacamole, not so much. And actually, all I really want to do is change these letters. Okay, so if you go into one of the overlay folders here, for example, Retrowave Overlay Default, Green, let's check out Green, and then Overlay, these are .webm files, which is a type of video format that's really easy to work with things like OBS. And then if you play them, which we'll play back in a free video player like MPC or VLC, you can see what they look like. So this would be where you have like your top donations and things like that. You can just add those to OBS or follow along and we will set it up specifically how they want it laid out. Before we get too complicated, I am going to set up a be right back, stream starting and stream ending and things like that, those kinds of scenes, as I feel like those are kind of important to production value for a live stream. So I'm going to make a new scene. We're going to call this stream starting. And then you will add these overlay files as media sources. So for stream starting, I want the pink screens, and there is a background one, and then the overlay one, which actually has the text, because you have a few different texts that you can throw up here. So I am going to add source, add media source. We're going to call this pink BG for background. Click OK. Then you have some options for the media source. I'm going to click browse. And what I'm going to do to make this easier on myself is click in the title bar or the URL bar here in Windows Explorer. And we're going to copy that text. And then in the OBS pop-up here, I'm going to click in there and hit paste. Make it easier to navigate. And we're going to add the background. Now this will add it as a global source that you can add to any scene, which will make it a little bit easier. We are going to enable looping. Make sure close is not checked. Leave it at 100% and we should be good. There we go. Nice, beautiful background screen. I love it. And then we're going to add another media source. And that's going to be starting soon text. Browse, stream starting, loop, click OK. And then you can position that however you like or make it however big you like, depending on what actual layout you want going on in your stream. So for example, I can have that there, and then we can have overlays going here, or we could add chat, something like that. I'm actually going to put that in the center for now. We're going to leave together like the, like the text with the icon, and move them around together without losing track of them. Select them both in your sources list here, right click, group selected icon or items, and then you can call this Discord. Minimize it. I can put these together. Group Insta, and then we'll make a new group for YouTube too. I think this is pretty cool. You could make them bigger. You could add more information. I think this is pretty cool. You could even make a separate one where you kind of pop your face up when you're first starting over here or something like that. Now, if you were using the same color theming across all of your different sources here, you could actually just select these three groups and hit copy. And then under be right back here, for example, I can just paste them as references or duplicate. So if you do reference, then anything, actually it only let me copy one at a time, but then anything I change in one.
If your stream is dropping frames, blurry, or your game is lagging, then this video is for you. However, if your internet upload speed is less than 5, or your PC already has issues playing the game, unfortunately this video will not solve your issues, and I'm not here to waste your time. But hopefully, I'm going to help you turn this into this. And if this video helps you or you have any questions, feel free to stop by my Twitch. The link will be in the description. If you are planning a stream, you might want to check out the sponsor of today's video, Own.tv. They are a group of graphic designers that deliver a high quality and professional facecam borders, alerts, and so much more for your stream. Streaming should be about you, entertaining your audience, and looking good while doing it. And Own.tv saves you countless hours trying to make a professionally designed stream when you can find something on their website that fits your style and personality. There are also full packages that you can get, which include overlays, facecam borders, alerts, and so much more. If you are interested, the link is in the description to get yours today. We are going to be going through a lot today, but sometimes there's a quick and easy fix that just happens to solve the problem. And one of those easy fixes that may help you is switching from Streamlabs OBS over to OBS Studios, because it is known to cause less issues on OBS Studios. Another quick fix is going to Streamlabs OBS or OBS Studios and right-clicking it and running it as administrator. This will open it up and it will allow it to take full advantage of your PC's resources. Assuming this was not a quick and easy fix, you're gonna have to dive down into the settings of OBS or Streamlabs OBS, both which are very similar. So go over to settings and then go over to video. The base canvas resolution should be whatever your monitor's resolution is. So if the monitor that you are streaming from is a 1920 by 1080p monitor, type that in for the base resolution. Now the output resolution is what you are streaming to Twitch. The smaller the size, the easier it is to stream, but the smaller the size, the worse the quality. 1280 by 720p is still HD, but it is smaller so that your PC should be able to handle it easier. We can change this later on in the video if this does not work. The downscale filter will be Lanczos. This is said to be the best. And then your FPS, we're going to start off with 60 FPS because you want to stream in 60 FPS. But we, once again, will let you know if you should change this if you can't handle 60 FPS streams. Next, go over to output. This is probably what your guys' will look like. Just click this and go down to advanced. The most important part about your stream is the encoder. Are you going to be streaming with your graphics card or your CPU? If you have a GTX 1660 graphics card or better, stream with NVENC. NVENC is your graphics card or AMD. X264 is your CPU. Now, if you don't have a good graphics card like a GTX 1660 or better, because those have a special video encoder, you are going to have to go to Task Manager and start a stream and see which one is better. Which one uses less resources on Task Manager, and that will be the one that you should use. Turn on and force streaming service encoder settings, turn off rescale output, and we're gonna skip rate control right now, and we're gonna go over to bitrate. Bitrate is basically your upload speed. The maximum bitrate you can use is 6000 for Twitch. 6000 bitrate equals 6 upload speed. So if you only have 5 upload speed, you cannot use 6000 bitrate. You're gonna have to lower that down to a little under 5000 bitrate so that your game and other people on your network still have enough upload speed. So my recommendation is if you are at about 8 upload speed or higher, turn this to 6000. If you are at about 5 upload speed, make sure you have a full 1000 kilobytes less. So 5 goes down to 4000 kilobytes per second for your bitrate. Rate control, set that to CBR. That stands for constant bitrate. You want that bitrate staying the same the entire time because this makes or breaks the quality of your video. The lower the bitrate, the less bits the video pushes out to Twitch, and it will make it a little bit more blurry. So if your stream is blurry, it may be because of the bitrate. Keyframe interval, set that to 2. That is what Twitch wants you to do. Preset, I would recommend turning this to quality, but if you are struggling, you can turn this to max performance. Max performance will lower the quality of your stream, but it will make sure everything runs smoothly, which is good. It's better to have a smooth running stream and a little bit bad quality than a really choppy stream. Set the profile on OBS Studios or Streamlabs OBS to high. This makes sure the PC prioritizes your stream above everything else. Turn off look ahead, turn on Psycho visual tuning if you have this. GPU, set that to 0. This is only for people who have more than 1 graphics cards. And then max speed frames, set this to 2. Don't change any of the other settings that I didn't specifically go into detail about because they really don't matter. Just copy what I have, and if it doesn't work, the main things you should change are the encoder and the bitrate, depending on your internet and depending on your PC. If none of these settings work and your stream is dropping frames, you can do one of 2 things. Go to settings, go to video, and what you can do is change your FPS to 30. This will lighten the load on your PC by half, and this should work. If not, then you can go ahead and lower the resolution a little bit as well. If your stream looks blurry, however, you can go to output and change the bitrate, make sure it's at 6000. If it is not at 6000 and you are playing Fortnite, there may be a little bit of blurriness, and that is just because Fortnite is a fast-paced game that you will probably need the full 6000 bitrate. But if you're playing an easy game like Fall Guys or Among Us or something like that, a lower bitrate will be perfectly fine and you guys won't be able to notice. If your stream is running perfectly fine, but you are dropping FPS in whatever game you were playing, such as Fortnite, just know that this is normal. From here on out, your issue is not going to be trying to get a stream to work, it's going to be trying to build up your FPS. Now, my best tip for this is if you are streaming in 1280 by 720p, you might as well lower the resolution you are playing at to 1280 by 720p, just so that you can get more FPS in the game that you are playing. Now, there are so many tutorials out there on how to get more FPS. I'm not going to go into every single detail on whatever game you are playing on how to improve your FPS, but just be thankful that you have a stream that works fine. My last piece of advice for you guys is if you are planning to buy a new PC or laptop to start streaming from because your one currently is not working, don't cheap out. Don't be like me. Do your research and find something that's good, and make sure you just don't cheap out, and you don't be that one guy that doesn't do his research. If you guys have any questions, feel free to join the Discord, join by my Twitch streams. My wonderful admins and moderators will be able to help you as well as me. Wonderful. Okay. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
I get a lot of messages from people asking how powerful their PC needs to be in order to game and stream on the same system. And news, by the way, you don't need it to be that powerful at all. It can actually be pretty modest, and you can game and stream without dropping a single frame on your stream. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. I'm going to show you 4 things that if you do this, and like literally one of them is like clicking one button, changes the world. I know that sounds too good to be true. Look, I'll show you. I'll show you. I'm running a modest build right now. I'm running a GTX 1660 and a Ryzen 5, and I will game Apex Legends, which is known for making streamers drop frames in OBS. I will game in 1440p and not drop a single frame in OBS. If you're trying to game and stream on the same PC, you need to follow these steps. These are very important. If you're not doing this, you're doing something wrong. So let's get started. Not even gonna roll the intro, not gonna put an ad on this video because the last video I did was 26 minutes long. And I don't apologize for it because it was a good video, but to make your life a little bit easier, I'm gonna make this one 5 minutes long. So I'm hoping at least, let's try. I'm already talking too long, let's jump into it. Step 1, you need to know the difference between x264 and NVENC. Let me just give you some real quick basics on how those work and how those load your PC. Okay, ready? Let's go. It's basically asking the question of which processing unit do you want to encode your stream, your CPU with x264 or your GPU with NVENC. It's important that you understand how they both work so you know how to choose one, and the bottom line is, and I'm going to show you this, if you are streaming on a single PC setup, you should be using NVENC. So if you want to be gaming and streaming on the same PC, you should be getting an NVIDIA graphics card, specifically one with the Turing encoders. I'll get into that in a little bit. So just so you understand how this works, your PC has 2 different processors in it. The central processor, the CPU, the graphics processor, or the GPU. You guys are probably familiar with that. Gaming is going to put a load on both. Heavier load on the GPU, but basically uses both processors. Then when you launch OBS, it also adds an extra load to both of them in order to render stuff, in order to process alerts, overlays, transitions, all the things that are going on, your camera, that's all rendering, it's using both processors. Then on top of that, if you're using x264, the last process of encoding brings another load on top of your CPU. So after those 2 things, the gaming and the rendering, whatever's left over on your CPU is being thrown into the encoder, and hopefully you've got enough headroom. If you do, you're fine, but you've got to have a pretty nice CPU to do all that. Let me actually just prove that to you real quick. Like looking at this screen right here, I just want to show you how much processing power is going towards either. So I'm not running any games. So you can see right now I've got all my graphs up here. I'm going to show you the important ones. This is the CPU usage and the GPU usage, okay? And right now we're sitting at like 4 or 5%, sometimes getting down to 0 in CPU. I'm not running anything. Let's just load up OBS. You can see right off the bat, GPU goes up to 28%, CPU is going up to 9. And if we had things like alerts going on or drop some stinger transitions, that's gonna jump even higher. In fact, let's do it. Stinger transition jumped up to 14%, bring the stinger transition back in again. Again, jump up to 12%, GPU's up at 32%. And by the way, this isn't even streaming right now. This is just running OBS, compiling all the different sources, which I've got a pretty simple stream going on right here. You can see that we go from literally nothing to about 30% on average on GPU, and we went from nothing to about 13% in CPU. Now, on top of that, if we were to start streaming using x264, using the encoder preset of medium for top-notch quality and a bitrate of 6,000. Watch what happens when I look at the CPU. It immediately jumped from 9% up to 32%. Hovering between, we'll say 30, we'll just say 30, adding 21% to your CPU load just to encode. This is why if you're running any PC games that are CPU intensive, or maybe you just have some high settings turned on, you got a lot of frames going, if you don't have that 21% of headroom on your CPU, you're gonna drop frames when you stream. Now, a lot of people say if you're running NVENC, it's gonna do the exact same thing, except instead of putting the load on the CPU, it's putting the load on the GPU. And that's not true. Because while again, the game adds a load to the GPU and the CPU, and then the rendering still adds a load to the GPU and the CPU, the encoding is not done on the regular GPU. The encoding is done on a completely separate chip on your GPU called the NVENC, or the NVIDIA encoder. And it's completely separate, and I'll show you. Watch this. If we change our encoder settings back to NVIDIA NVENC new, please use new. We're gonna set it to max quality, set to 6,000 kilobits. You can even just see right here. This is when we were encoding, and this is when we're not encoding. Now watch the GPU. Ready? Because this is what we're encoding with our GPU, right? I'm gonna hit start. Look at that. Zero change to our GPU. Maybe if we wanted to get nitpicky, it went up like 3%. This is why if you're using a single PC setup, I recommend using NVENC, because if you're using X264, you're utilizing resources that could be put towards your game for your encoding, and basically those two things are gonna be fighting against each other. Whereas if you're using NVENC, it's just a dedicated chip for encoding, nothing else is being done. Cool. Let's move on. All right, this next, you're putting on your PC with extra little graphic elements. A lot of you guys like to add as many animations as you can. I'm just gonna show you how much of a load animations put on your stream. Again, let's take a look here. We got our CPU usage at 11%. We got our GPU usage hovering about maybe 27 on average. Watch what happens when I take off the animated overlay and that animated background. Our CPU usage goes from 8 to 9% down to about 4 or 5%. Our GPU usage goes from averaging about 35 down to about maybe 31, 32, sometimes even getting down into like the low mid 20s. Animated overlays, especially if you got alerts going on, transitions, if you got a lot of animations, it's gonna add a lot of load to your CPU and GPU. And with the move towards extremely clean designs being kind of the thing, don't be afraid to go with a static design. And if you're on a budget system and you're scrambling for whatever resources you can, I would say go all static and save your animations for things like alerts and transitions where the movement actually matters. It's crazy how much processing power you can save just by going static. Next one, preview window. If you're on a single PC and you're dropping frames, disable your preview window. Both getting rid of unnecessary animations, getting rid of your preview window, save you a ton of resources. If you can close that, if you don't care about looking at it, I would recommend you do it. All right, the last one, tip number 4, and I'm just even gonna start off showing you what you need to do. I'm not gonna explain why yet. When you launch OBS Studio, right click on it and run as administrator. And that is entirely it. I'm dead serious. And I'm sure you're thinking, that can't make a huge difference. Paha. I promise you it does. And let me explain exactly what this is doing, because in the most recent, or like one of the most recent updates to OBS, both OBS and NVIDIA have been working very hard together to fix an issue with Windows's resource prioritization. Let me explain what that means. Typically, when you're running OBS and gaming at the same time, Windows will prioritize your game overall, which they get it. It's a gaming platform. If you're gaming, that should be the top priority. Why should it be allocating resources for, I don't know, Chrome? If you're gaming, it's gonna wanna put the resources to the game. So that's what they've done. The order of prioritization are game settings, things like your quality settings, your anti-aliasing, your post-processing, then your game frame rate, which means it takes your settings and then it gives you as many frames as you can with those settings. If you max out on everything, it's not gonna lower your settings, it lowers your frames. So settings, then frames, then your stream, OBS, right? So whatever is left over after all those things, it sends towards OBS. And if you get into a crazy battle where there are a million people, a lot of rendering going on in your game, you drop frames on your stream. If you run OBS as an administrator, what you're doing is you're letting Windows know, OBS, please make it my top priority, which by the way, doesn't take up a ton of resources. Not nearly as much as the game. So it sends the resources to OBS first, and then the other 80% that's left over of the GPU, it sends to your game. So now the prioritization is OBS, then your settings, then your frames. We're gonna quit out of OBS. I'm gonna launch it normally, right? All right, so the game is firing up. I try to ignore the frame drops that happen when like you're loading in the game. See, we're gonna drop some frames when I click that button. It freaks everything out. But you can even see just on the menu screen right now, not doing anything, and you can tell the GPU is up at 96%. CPU is pretty OP. I think this is why I ordered a 2600 for the budget build. But you can just see we're just non-stop dropping frames. We're never getting above 56 frames, and we're just in a menu screen. I'm just gonna fire in a game so you can see what happens when you try to game and stream on a single PC opening OBS normally. By the way, I am gaming in 1080p. The settings are pretty high. I have things set almost all the way up, except for I think some shadow rendering is turned down a little bit. But for the most part, max settings, 1080p. We're dropping down to 45 frames per second and the game hasn't even started yet. Let's just jump into one and drop for fun. I need headphones. I'm gonna jump into the firing range and I'm gonna do some moving around and get some rendering going. I don't think I'm gonna be able to find a game at 5 a.m. Yeah, dropping down to 48 frames. Let me at least hit some good shots. Yeah, we're pretty much sticking at 51 frames. It says we're dropping 4% of our frames. It does not look good. Anytime you're dropping frames, it's gonna look terrible. All right, so you've seen what it looks like running OBS normally. Now we're gonna make a change. I just opened OBS as an administrator, and just to prove my point, I'm actually going to crank up the settings. We're gonna change this screen to 1440p, 144 hertz, still the same settings. NVENC new, 6,000 kilobits, max quality. So I'm just trying to show you, like, I'm cranking everything up here. So we dropped frames as the game loaded in. As you can see, the 29 and the 34. That just happened as the game launched full screen. If this was at a more decent hour, you'd be able to jump into actual games because we could actually fill a lobby. You know what? Gamers, I believe you're up at 5 a.m. I believe in you. All right, we got a game. Let's do this. We're probably not gonna get a lot of frames in game, but the point we're trying to make is that we won't drop a single frame in OBS. We will be, at the end of this game, we'll still have 13 dropped render lag frames and 16 dropped encoding lag frames. All right, we're gonna drop fast. Drop hot and leave beautiful corpses. Where is that guy? Oh, there's this guy. Let me get this guy's gun first. Cut that out, Sam. Cut that out. Yeah, we don't need to see that death. So the recording accidentally cut out, but as you can see, I clearly won that game with about 20 kills. But if we look over at OBS, you can see didn't drop a single frame in OBS. My frames definitely went down. I went down to about 40 to 50 frames, especially as we're like flying over the map and it has to render the entire map. It dropped a lot of frames in game, but the point is when you run OBS as an admin, it prioritizes your OBS rendering over your game rendering. So when that GPU maxes out, which is inevitably going to do, you're gonna drop frames in game, not in OBS. So this is usually the issue people come to me with when they're trying to build a single PC setup. They drop a lot of frames in game when they're trying to run NVENC. They get that encoder overload, which is what happens when you run OBS normally. Run OBS as admin solves all your problems. I'm gonna drive this point a little bit further home. I've got a bunch of parts coming in tomorrow. We're gonna build an even lower budget PC than this one. We're gonna keep the 1660 Ti. We got a 2600 coming into a previous gen, which is like an $80 cheaper CPU. And then not only are we gonna build it and test it, I'm going to use that PC on my own stream next week. So just to, I guess, put my money where my mouth is that the phrase? I don't know, I never gambled. Whatever, anyway, I hope this helped. I'm excited for you to try this out on your own rigs and solve all your problems. If you have any other quick questions that don't sound like they're gonna be answered in the next couple videos, I stream every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Feel free to follow me, link in the description below. Also, if you wanna talk with other streamers about this and meet up with a massive community, we have an incredible Discord with over 35,000 members. Feel free to join that, link in the description below. And as always, happy streaming. I've had one toxic game early this morning, but for the most part, it's been pretty chill. Kind of like, oh, you missed the other game that I could hear him and you couldn't. Slayer.
Was he?
Hey, Kitty Cosmo, you're my new e-girlfriend. Got it?
Yeah, it hasn't been toxic at all.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Are you fed up of your stream buffering, skipping frames, dropping frames, or disconnecting altogether? In this video, I've got you covered. We're going to go over all the ways that we can stop that from happening. We're going to be using Streamlabs OBS, but some of these things can be applied to any streaming software. So stick around and let's go. Hey guys, welcome to Finesse Gaming. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you're all having a fantastic day. So like I said, we're going to go over the ways in which we can stop a stream from being a poor quality. So either it's skipping frames, dropping frames, disconnecting, or buffering when someone else is trying to watch it. I'm going to go over all the different things that we can do to stop that from happening. One of them is the most obvious one, which most people will talk about when they talk about these sort of things. So if you want to skip ahead, so the first thing we're going to talk about is the internet. And if you want to skip ahead, if you know you've got good internet and you've already set up all the different things in Streamlabs to get the right bit rate and everything else that you need to do, if you've done all that and you know that's all good and you're still dropping frames, which I was, then jump ahead into a further section. Just go into the comments below, because I will leave timestamps down there, and skip ahead from this first part of the internet. There's about 3 or 4 other things that you can actually do to help your stream be quite steady, so jump ahead and have a look at that. But if you want to check the internet and know all about that as well, first of all, let's go over that, because it is by far the most important thing. It isn't the only answer, but it is the biggest answer probably. So for everyone else, let's go and have a look at it now, and if you still want to stick around, just go through it all, make sure yours is all good. Let's go. And as always, guys, if you do enjoy the video, please drop that like, hit that subscribe button, and turn notifications on. Your support is hugely appreciated, and it really does help the channel. And also, you can find me streaming on Twitch and Facebook. Links will be in the description below if you want to check them out. It'd be great to see you there. Okay, so first things first, let's just talk about what we need from the internet. So in this case, we actually don't need a download speed. Obviously, a good one is good, but we don't need that. We need an upload speed, because you are uploading onto the internet. It's what matters the most. So we need a fast-ish internet speed for upload. So we're going to go over kind of what we need, what's the minimum we want, and what kind of we're going to be looking at. But let's go over some different things at this moment in time. So let's go through, first of all, what we're actually talking about when we're doing this and why it's important. So what we actually need is an upload speed, like I said. And the reason we need to have a fast upload speed and know the upload speed is because of the bit rate in which you stream at. So this is on the software of Streamlabs, which we'll find in a second, and I will show you on my stream what I do. But just to go over this really quickly so you can all understand what it is. A bit is a single piece of information basically that's sent over the internet, and the bit rate is basically the speed at which it is sent. So the faster the bit rate, generally the better the quality, and the larger the file size as well. Next, after that, you will have frame rate, so that will be either 30 FPS or 60 FPS, usually that's the 2 main ones. And after that, you will have the resolution at which you stream. So generally, it's 720p or 1080p. I know 4K can come in, but I don't think Twitch really allows for that at this moment in time. It certainly doesn't. So let's say 1080p is the highest, which is full HD. 720p is HD. And let's just go with those two for a moment. When 4K comes in, that will be another one again. But at the moment in time, 1080p is really the best quality that you're going to be wanting to use in for Twitch. And basically, the key to all of that is finding the right balance between the file size that you send over the internet and the quality of it. So if it's too big a file size, then it will be buffering when the other person is trying to watch it. And when it's too small, the quality will be quite poor and it won't look very good. So finding the right balance between it all is incredibly important. And that is one of the key things to making your stream look good at the very beginning. So obviously, first thing we need to do is find out what internet speed you have. So we're actually going to go ahead and run an internet speed test, and this is how we go ahead and do it. Okay, so we've gone onto Google and we've typed in internet speed test, and we can see here this is a Google one that comes up, run speed test, which is fine to do with. You can download different ones if you wanted to, but we'll just go ahead and run this one. So the first one it's going to be doing is the download speed, which again, this one doesn't really matter for what we want it for streaming. This is the one that is the key, the upload speed. So we can see there, I've got about 18.5 megabits per second. So that's how we do it, and we can see how fast it is. And it does give you a little breakdown here of what your devices may be able to handle with this speed. So now we actually know this 18.5 megabits per second upload speed. I can actually go ahead and work out what bitrate I need to be using to get the best quality stream. So let's go ahead and do that. So go ahead and do an internet speed test like I've just done to work out your upload speed. And the kind of the minimum that you're going to be looking for a decent stream using the higher settings is around 10 megabits per second. That's kind of a minimum. Anything above that is great. Some of the ones below it are okay, which we're going to go over in a second, and ways in which to make them look good, but that's what we're going to kind of be basing it on. So let's just go over what that actually means. Basically, 1 megabit is 1,000 bits. So we have 10 megabits per second, meaning that we have 10,000 bits per second that we can send over the internet. So in theory, that would allow us to set a 10,000 bit rate to send information to Twitch, but it doesn't actually quite work that way. And there's a number of reasons for that. The file size is going to be too big for somebody else's internet to actually handle and to view, so it's going to buffer. You need some of that bandwidth as well for playing the actual game itself, and also Twitch generally won't be able to handle that much bitrate either, so it's going to cause some problems in your stream if you're going to go ahead and actually set a bitrate at 10,000. It's way too high. So don't think we can do that. We're just looking for the minimum. We want an actual gap between what we can actually do and what we actually need. Let's say you have an upload speed of 10 megabits per second or more, and I will explain the more in a second. You want to be setting your bitrate on Streamlabs OBS at somewhere between 3,500 to 5,000 bitrate. And like I said a second ago, even if you have a faster internet than that, this is what kind of Twitch and YouTube can handle, and this is the size of file that's stable from the viewer's point of view. If the viewer has poor internet and you send a huge file, they won't be able to view it. So don't go too big. We're up to about 5,000, and that really is about the maximum you're going to be sending over Twitch or YouTube. Okay, so this is what I have on my stream. So I've opened up my settings down the bottom there, and we're going to go and have a look at, not stream, we're going to have a look at output, and we're going to take a look through the settings that I've used. So we're going to go over which encoder and different things like that we need, but let's basically go for here. So we've got the bitrate set at 5,000. So my internet speed, if you remember, is 18.5 megabits per second. I've set this at 5,000. So the maximum I could have done, in theory, would have been 18,500, but that was never going to be a stable stream. So 5,000 is the most I've gone to, and from a point of view of the software and the internet, it's fantastic. I've got no problems in streaming, quite a steady stream with that setting. And like I said, a little bit later on in the video, we're going to go over some of these other settings that's away from the internet side of things into the actual settings of Streamlabs. That's going to be some other ways that we're going to make sure the stream is quite stable. Okay, so before we go on to those other things, let's just finish off on the internet side of things. Like I said, it's the most important. Let's say your internet upload speed when you did the test was 3 megabits or less per second. Now we may have a little bit of a problem. This could just be an internet issue. So if you can, contact your internet provider, see if you can get anything faster than that, because that is going to be quite slow, and you certainly, to get a steady stream, will have to go for almost the lowest settings in terms of resolution and frame rate. And the bitrate you want to be using for that is going to be quite low as well, which I'll explain in a second, but may not still be good because it's quite a low upload speed. So make sure you can try to get that a little bit quicker. Contact your internet provider or search the market, see if there's anything else that may be a little bit quicker. If you have between 4 megabits and 10 megabits per second, then you may have to consider possibly lowering some of those different settings, namely the resolution or the frame rate. So I stream at 1080p 30 FPS. Even I can't stream at 60 FPS and get a very stable stream, so I dropped 60 FPS down to 30, which in this kind of environment looks fine. There's no problem whatsoever in doing it. If you're in the real world moving everywhere very quickly, 60 FPS would be better, but we don't need that. But if you're in that category of 4 to 10 megabits upload speed, then maybe we need to drop one of those down. So you could either drop the 1080p down to 720p, or you may have to do the same as me and go to 1080 and try it at 30 FPS. But again, that may buffer a little bit if the file size is too big for your internet. It's something you're going to have to work out. Remember, you can lower the resolution, which may solve the problem. And one thing to remember before you don't want to do that, a steady stream that looks good is far better than a high quality, visually good stream that buffers all the time. So make sure you get better quality in terms of a steady stream that doesn't buffer, that doesn't lag or anything, rather than a good looking stream that lags and buffers. And in this case, if you have a lower internet speed, anything less than 10,000, we're going to be looking at a bit rate somewhere between 2,500 to 4,000. Really, if you're going to be doing 2,500, that's when you're at your 345 megabits per second. Anything above that, you should be trying to up it up towards 4,000. You could possibly edge it closer to 5,000, but that might be slightly too big and you may actually disconnect or buffer. So in that region, you just want to make sure that you're setting your bit rate to the maximum that you can get from your internet. And to explain why that matters so much, like I said a second ago earlier in the video, if you have a 10 megabit per second upload speed, technically you could use 10,000 bit rate, but we don't want to because we need it for other things as well. But if you only have a 3 megabit per second upload speed and use 3,000, we're going to use all of our upload speed basically on that. So we'll have nothing left for playing the game or anything else we need it for. So we're going to be probably buffering quite a lot. So you're going to have to lower the bit rate, which is going to lower the quality. And then last thing, I promise, before we go on to this other stuff, because it's going to seem like it's dragging on for a while, but the internet is important. The very, very last thing is, if you are using a wireless connection, don't. use a wired connection if you can. So a wired connection, is much more stable than a wireless connection. What you don't want is, let's say you're raided by a huge channel giving you, I don't know, 4,000 viewers or something, but you're using a wireless connection and all of a sudden your internet goes no, and you disconnect, then you've got a bit of a problem. So make sure you're using a wired connection if you can. I actually can't use a full wired connection when I'm streaming or recording videos or anything now over the internet because I'm not able to do it. So I actually use a power line adapter, which if you don't know is basically two plugs. They basically plug into the wall socket to create somewhat of a wired connection. So you plug a Ethernet cable into the back of your router, and then you plug one of the power line adapters into the wall next to it, and then you plug the other power line adapter into the wall by your PC. Again, you run a cable into the PC, an Ethernet cable, and you will have a wired connection. Now, this isn't as good as a standard wired connection running from the router to the PC, but it's much better than a wireless connection. I will say I don't have any problems in disconnection or anything like that. I just don't quite have the same speeds I would have. You saw the download speed a second ago. I actually can get, if I'm fully wire the connection up, I can get up to 50 or 60 megabits per second download speed, but I don't need that. That's not really what I'm looking for. It's the upload speed that matters, and it's quick enough as it is. So make sure you can somehow get a wired connection. If it's a power line adapter, fine, that's a compensation for it, or get it full wired connection. Don't stream on wireless if you can help it. That's all. Okay, internet's finally done. We've got nothing else to talk about on that. Basically, get a fast internet. So now that's done, we're going to go over the other ways in which you can get a faster stream and a more stable stream without doing anything else to your internet. So if you just joined this video here because you've already done the internet stuff, let's just go over quickly everything in the streaming software, the setup of it, and then all the stuff in the background that can actually make a big difference, which is what I found. Because I had good internet, I set all the software up correctly, but I was still having problems. So let's go over those things now. Okay, firstly, on your Streamlabs, open up the settings. I'm going to go all the way over to output to begin with. This is what we were on a second ago when we were talking about the bitrate with the internet, but we're going to talk about some of the other stuff on here now. So make sure if you're using an NVIDIA graphics card, you set this here to NVENC new, okay, because that will help. It will take all of the weight off the CPU. This is the GPU actually encoding it, so it's not the CPU. It's going to reduce the amount of stress on the CPU, and it hardly uses any GPU stuff. It's incredibly good. I've used it since I basically started streaming. Now, it does depend on what graphics card you've obviously got. Even if you've got an NVIDIA one, it needs to be one of the newer-ish ones and needs to be a decent one. But if you can use that, use it. If not, I can't click off it because I'm currently recording this video with Streamlabs. But if you can't use that, go to just the standard one, which is, I forget the first part, but 264. That's all I can tell you. Just use that, but be aware that it's going to put more stress and strain onto the CPU than this will. Next, we're going to come down and have a little look at profile. So mine's set on high. This is the, I believe, the second highest you can go to. Again, I can't click on it because I'm recording, but make sure you haven't got this set at too high. If it's too high a setting, then you're going to struggle a little bit with dropping frames. Make sure you're setting it at high. And you can see the rest of the settings there that I haven't really changed from the beginning. Now, recording, I'll explain why I say this, because I actually record and stream pretty much at the same time, all of the time. So I'm on one PC and play a game. I'll explain all the things I do, but this is what I do. So I make sure I'm recording. You can see where everything is going. Again, recording, I'm using NVENC new. I'm not using the CPU, I'm using the GPU, so it's using all of that. Now, this is where some people get a bit confused. The bitrate here is actually quite high, as you can see, and that's because the file size isn't going to the internet, it's just going onto my computer. I don't need fast upload internet speed for this, so I can up it a little bit. 25,000 is what I've put it at. I've seen people with this at 30, 35,000 sometimes. I'm quite happy with it being a 25, but this is what you can play around with. Certainly, if you've got a decent PC and you're going to use the GPU to do it, up this a little bit, closer to 20,000, even 25,000, and just make sure it looks good when you record videos. Make sure there's no lagging, buffering, skipping frames, etc. when you do that. And you can see again down here, when you're recording, just make sure you've got the preset. I've put mine on quality and the profile again on high. Again, both of these are quite high settings. They're not the highest, they're just the one below it. Again, I just want to get the best quality I can get with a steady recording without any sort of lagging or anything. So these are the settings that I use altogether. Audio, by the way, we don't touch. There's a bitrate for audio as well, which nobody really talks about. Just keep it at 160. So that's it for all of that stuff. And next we're actually going to go on to one of the advanced settings that, again, it's got something to do with the internet. So we're going to go to advanced. I haven't really touched anything on there. We're going to come down to network, just make sure that this top one here is ticked, that dynamically change bitrate when dropped frames while streaming. So in other words, if you do start to drop frames, Streamlabs will change the bitrate as it needs to, which is going to be quite helpful. So we can change to these different things down here. You can enable network encode or low latency mode. Just make sure you can keep it at this one and leave the bind to IP at default. So that does help. You will notice it actually changed, so you can actually see in Streamlabs OBS when you are streaming what the bitrate is, and you can see it changing as it needs to. Mine generally stays between 4,800 and 5,000, so it's pretty decent, but you'll be able to do that. If we took this off and we started to drop bitrate, then the actual frames will drop as well, or you'll be dropping frames as you stream. But if you change this, it will change the bitrate so that you will stop that happening. So make sure you do tick that, it's quite important. Okay, next we're gonna look at some of the settings in Windows, which is what I actually had to do. I had all of that stuff that you just watched set up and I was still dropping frames. This is what I actually had to do to stop it all happening. So this is what's going on in the background of the PC. Make sure you do this because this will help. If you're still dropping frames, still skipping frames, or still buffering or anything, this is what you need to be doing. So check this out. Okay, so the first thing is you want to head over to your settings on Windows. So you can press the Windows key and I together and that will bring up this, or just go to System Settings. And we're going to come down here to the Gaming tab. So this, I think, is on actually most Windows PCs now if it's running Windows 10. I'm not sure if it's on every single one, so if you don't have it, that's fine. I know most of them do now. Certainly it's an Xbox thing, but if it's on there, make sure you do click on it because this is set to be an on at standard. So if I was to set this to on, which it comes at standard, like I said, it basically would allow me to press the Windows key and the G button, and that opens up like an overlay. It's called the game bar, and it allows you to do lots of things like take screenshots, make little video clips, change audio settings, all sorts of different things. But it's stuff that you won't really need. You're going to be doing all of that stuff in the software that you're using for streaming or in game. You don't need it to be in the background. If you do use it, okay, but it's going to be taking up quite a lot of CPU usage. This one, when I actually deleted it, helped the stream massively. So make sure you do switch it to off. So you can also go down into game mode and switch this to off. So when the game mode is on, Windows optimizes your PC for play. I've left that on because it hasn't actually made any difference. But if you're still struggling once you've switched this off, make sure you go down there and switch that off as well. So that's going to be your first thing you need to be doing. So switching off this Xbox game bar is going to be the first thing you need to do to get a steady stream in the Windows software, because you don't want it running in the background. Like I said, it's too big a file, it's taking up too much memory and too much CPU. So the next thing you want to do then is open up the task manager. So you can press Control Alt and Delete to get through to it. You can also get to it from the settings, but once you're into the task manager, and you should be able to see from there all the different tasks that are running. I will recommend you actually do this in a test stream. So maybe put a stream out, just to call it a test stream or something, so no one really clicks on it, and then do this task manager, because what you want to know is what's running in the background while you're streaming. You won't believe the amount of things that are there that are not needed, that are using memory and CPU, and will actually cause your stream to look worse and to buffer. So basically you're going to be removing a load of things that aren't necessary to be running in the background, such as Steam software that you may not need to have in the background. You may not need certain equipment software such as the Razer Synapse if you haven't. Sometimes that even runs when I haven't even got something Razer plugged into the PC. Corsair, if you don't need that, if you don't need IQ, different things that you don't need to be running that can use up quite a lot of memory. Take them off, okay? Remove them from running in the background. So you basically want to be reducing the amount of memory and the amount of CPU usage you possibly can, so just use the bare minimum, and then hopefully your stream will be more stable. I had to remove something like 6 or 8 different tasks that were running that just weren't needed in the background, and it helped a huge amount in actually getting the stream very, very stable. So that is the key thing. The Xbox game bar, get rid of it if you don't want it on the background, and get rid of all the tasks running that aren't necessary as well in the background. So these are all the things that I've done. These are all the settings I used in Streamlabs. These are what I've done with Windows and on the task manager, and I haven't had any drop frames. I was getting drop frames almost every time I streamed. I haven't had any now at all for about 4 months having done these things. So try them out for yourselves, guys. My internet, as you saw, isn't incredibly quick, so your internet could be even quicker than mine and you're still having the problems. That's where this other stuff comes in from the PC point of view. If your internet isn't fast, then maybe we need to look at the bitrate that you're sending, the resolution that you're playing at, or even the getting a better internet connection or a better speed somehow. Okay, so if all of this has failed, if you've done all of these things and you're still dropping frames, skipping frames, or buffering, and then we're going to be looking at hardware as opposed to software sort of stuff. So this is where obviously the internet is the key thing. We're maybe going to be looking at internet providers, a new router, or something that can get faster internet. Certainly a wired connection would be the key one if you don't have that already, but the internet's going to be the key one to change. But beyond that, this is what matters in the PC for speed and quality of stream. So firstly, an upgrade. If you upgrade your RAM, okay, so your memory in your PC, that will help, not necessarily fix the problem, but it will help the problem. So more memory basically means you will have more things that are capable of working at the same time, or pretty much at the same time, so you can do multiple actions. If you go less memory, then you're going to be struggling to do multiple different things. So I now have upgraded mine to 32 gigabytes from 16 gigabytes, and 16 is still fine, it was still plenty, but 32 I've just been allowed to kind of do quite a lot more with it. 32 gigabytes I now have at 3200 speed, and it's pretty good. So I can actually now play a game, I can stream that game, I can record it, I can play Spotify or music in the background, and I can have internet websites open like Twitter or Facebook, whatever, in the background. So I can do quite a few things that are quite high CPU and GPU demanding, and I can do them without any problem at all. My stream is still steady, I don't drop any frames, the quality is still good, I'm still using 1080p, all on one PC. So you can do all this if you have the right settings in software and the hardware then to match up. So this isn't the highest spec, by the way, PC, it's a decent one, but it's not incredibly high. The next thing I will come on to, and this is the final thing to upgrade if all else fails, maybe if your CPU is old, and this is going to be unfortunately one of the more expensive things to upgrade. So if you've got a CPU from maybe let's say 8 to 10 years ago, or you've got like an i3 or something from recently, it's just not going to be able to cope unfortunately with all the different information that we're trying to get it to do, all the tasks that we're trying to get it to do at once. It could be the problem. Certainly maybe consider looking at a slightly better CPU that has more cores, that can do more things, and that's going to allow more actions to take place at once without any problems. So remember that you can still do them, they will just take longer, it buffers more, the speed is much better with some of the newer GPUs, probably from an i5 upwards or a Ryzen 5 upwards. The Ryzen 3 and the i3 probably aren't quite good enough for everything that we want to do if we're doing it all from one PC with decent settings, that is. Okay guys, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed this one a little bit longer than normal. If you did enjoy it or have any other ideas or comments, please put them in the comment section below. Let me know if you've tried any of these things and if they worked or if they didn't, and if you've got any other ideas that maybe people can do to actually improve their stream that I haven't actually covered. Pop those in the comment section below as well, and we'll see if that can make any difference also. And like I said, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider dropping that like, hit that subscribe button, and turn the notification bell on. Your support's hugely appreciated, and it really does help the channel. Also, you'll find me streaming on Twitch and Facebook. Links will be in the description below. If you want to come and check them out, it'd be great to see you there, and we can have a chat about all this stuff in stream. And also, I'll leave links in the description below for a few things. I'll leave a link for Streamlabs OBS if you want to consider downloading it, if you're maybe not using it yet and want to start streaming or something. Also, I'll leave a link for all the little equipment things that I use, like the power line adapters, Ethernet cables and things, so you can just check them out. If you do want to pick one up, you click on the link and go ahead and do it. But until next time guys, keep gaming, keep safe, good night, GG.
I'm getting a lot of comments from people who are struggling with their stream settings. They don't know what bitrate they should choose, what resolution they should choose, if they should choose hardware NVENC encoding or software X264 encoding. They don't know why everyone says that your viewers' internet speed also matters. Well, I will go over all those things and much more in this video. What's up everyone, and welcome to the Streamlabs OBS Master Course playlist. This is a playlist in which I explain everything you need to know about Streamlabs OBS. If you're not in it, you can click the link in the description and watch this video from there, and then after this video you might find something else that you want to learn about Streamlabs OBS. Once a video in this playlist gets outdated, I make a new one and I just replace it, so you can always find up-to-date information in this playlist. Right now we will go over all the Streamlabs OBS settings, and I will tell you which of these settings are very important and how you can make your stream look good. But first I would like to thank our sponsor for this video, which is Owned.tv. They have the best stream graphics in the industry, there's no doubt about that. They have a big library of stream packages, but also separate elements like alerts, webcam borders, panels, stinger transitions, everything you can wish for. You should definitely check out their website if you're in the market for a stream package, because they look amazing, they are fully animated, fully customizable, and they also have a previewer on their website that lets you test how the overlay will look on your stream. You can trigger alerts, trigger transitions, etc. to really see how it will look once you buy the package. All the packages also come with a quick import file, so you can just open that file with Streamlabs OBS and everything will be set up. You just need to add your gameplay, your webcam, and you're all set. If you're interested in stream graphics, definitely check out their website. The link is in the description. Now it's important that you don't skip too much during this video, and I'm not saying this for my watch time, but I'm saying this because some settings are pretty crucial, and if you miss them it might affect your performance. So just follow along with me and I will go over everything that's important. And the first crucial thing is that you need to open Streamlabs OBS as administrator. So make sure you just left click it, let's search for Streamlabs OBS, that you left click it and then run as administrator. Another thing you can do, let's pin it to the taskbar and then just right click it, then right click Streamlabs OBS again and go to properties. Then on the bottom click on advanced and then check this box run as administrator. Click on OK, and then if you just click Streamlabs OBS, it will ask you if you want to run it as administrator. My screen will be black for you right now, but I will just click yes, and then Streamlabs OBS will open, and this little thing can fix a lot of performance issues. So right now let's go to the settings, because that's what this video is all about. The first thing in the general tab is right here. You can click on delete cache and restart. If you are playing with these settings and they are all over the place, or if your stream stops working and you really can't fix it, then right here you can delete your cache, restart the program. You will lose a lot of things, but you will be able to start from scratch again, and in some cases that will allow you to get your stream back online. When we scroll down a bit, right here you see that you can also enable automatically record when streaming, and this is something that a lot of people ask me, if you can record while streaming, and yes you can. You can just record and stream at the same time, but remember that if you have a slow computer and your computer is already struggling to stream and game at the same time, well, if you record at the same time too, you will probably get a crash. So make sure that your PC can handle it, but if it can, then yes, you can record and stream at the same time, and by checking this box, you will automatically record when you go live. I will disable it right now, and then this is not for the performance settings. So let's go to the stream tab, and right here you can link your streaming service. Now I link Twitch right here, but if you're streaming with something else, you can also follow this video, because these settings will at least at a basic level work for all the streaming services. There are some minor things you could change when streaming on YouTube or streaming on Facebook, but in general these settings will definitely give you a good looking stream on all platforms. So then the output tab, this is the most important tab, but I will first go over all the minor settings right here. If I forget it in a minute, make sure you are in the advanced mode right here, because the simple mode has less settings. Okay, but let's skip this for now. Let's go to the audio tab, and right here you need to link your microphone, so mic auxiliary device 1. This is my audio interface. This is the mic that I'm recording with right now. So just select your mic right here, and then the desktop audio will be at default, and this works just fine. Then the video tab right here, we will also skip it, because together with the output tab, these are the things that will determine your stream quality. But first, the hotkey tab. This is straightforward. You can add a bunch of hotkeys right here, read through it and see what you need. Then the advanced tab. Right here you don't need to change anything, but know that you can add a stream delay right here. If someone is trolling you on stream because he can see your position in game or something like that, it doesn't happen a lot, but it definitely happens, then you can add a stream delay right here to prevent things like that from happening. And there's nothing that's important right here. Then the game overlay, this is an experimental feature, we will just skip this. Scene collections. In the intro I told you that our sponsor has a quick import file, and well, this is where you can import things like that. You can just click import overlay file and then search for something that will import a whole overlay all at once. You can also export an overlay file, so if you have a whole setup right here and you want to export it to import it somewhere else or to send it to someone or something like that, you can just click on export overlay file and then save your whole overlay somewhere on your computer. Okay, then next, the notifications. You can just leave this at default. Then the appearance tab right here, you can change to light mode right here or to dark mode by selecting night, and of course that's what most people will do. Then the face masks, we will skip this, and remote control, this is pretty handy. You can download the Streamlabs deck application, I think that's the name, I will put it on screen if it's something else, and with that application you can just scan this QR code right here on the screen, and that will allow you to control Streamlabs OBS with your phone. You just position your phone in front of you and then you can just swap scenes by clicking them on your phone, and that's really handy. It's a budget version of the Elgato Stream Deck, but it works. You can mute certain sources like your music or your microphone. You can swap scenes like I already told you, so it's really handy. So now it's time to go to the video tab, and right here you need to select your resolution that you will stream in. Now before doing that, we need to determine what resolution we will stream in. And this goes hand in hand with the bitrate, which you can see in the output tab right here. And of course, before setting those and everything else up, we need to determine what exact quality we want to stream in. So the first thing when doing that is doing a speed test, and let's do it really quickly. So I will go to Google Chrome and then go to speedtest.net. Okay, it fills out automatically. Let's click on go. So actually, while it's doing the test, I can show you why we want to do a speed test. So let's open a new tab and then search for Twitch and coding chart. Let's open the first thing that pops up, and right here you can see a bunch of stream settings, and which of these you choose depends on a few things. It depends on your internet speed, it depends on the power of your computer, and it also depends on your viewer's internet speed. Now, why does your viewer's internet speed matter? Well, it's because of how streaming works. So when you are streaming a game, you are sending your footage to the streaming servers, to the Twitch servers. Then when someone is watching your stream, they are downloading your video from the Twitch servers. And of course, if some of your viewers have a low internet speed, they will have trouble with downloading a high quality stream from the servers. So because of that, you want to stream in a quality that looks good, but it's not too high, because then some people will not be able to download your stream because the file size or the bitrate will just be too high. Now of course, Twitch has something that's called transcoding, and it's just allowing viewers to lower the quality of the stream that they are watching in case they have a slow internet speed. And this would fix all our problems. This would allow us to just stream in whatever quality we want, because viewers with a slow internet speed can lower the quality, but the problem is that not everyone gets these transcoding options. Partners are guaranteed to get it, but affiliates and just Twitch streamers that are not affiliated yet are not guaranteed to get transcoding options on their stream. So if you just stream in the highest settings, which is, as we see right here, 1080p 60 fps and a bitrate of 6000 kilobits per second, well, your stream will look amazing, but maybe not everyone will be able to watch it, because if transcoding options aren't available for you that day, then people will not be able to lower the quality. So because of that, a lot of streamers stream in a lower quality, like 720p 60 fps or 720p 30 fps, because then they can stream in a lower bitrate, and this will allow everyone to watch their stream. Of course, there are people who are saying that this is unnecessary, because in this day and age, people's internet speed is strong enough to download it, except for like a few people, and that you don't need to take those people into account. But that's your decision. If you don't care about the few people that will not be able to watch the stream, and your PC and your internet speed are strong enough to stream in 1080p 60 fps, then go ahead, use those settings while we are setting everything up. But I will be setting up the stream in 720p 60 fps, because that will be what most people will be choosing. Okay, this was a long explanation, but I'm glad that it's out of the way, and we can go back to our speed test right now. because I'm sure it will be finished. So I see that my upload speed is, well, 19 megabits per second. Now when we go to the Twitch chart, we see that the bitrate is in kilobits per second. So because of this, we need to convert our upload speed from megabits per second to kilobits per second, and that's very easy because it's just multiplying it by 1000. So when I do that for my speed, I see that I have an upload speed of 19,000 kilobits per second. Then when we go to the Twitch chart, we will see that I can stream in whatever quality I want because my upload speed will be fast enough. Now there's one more important thing, and that's that you need to keep a margin on your upload speed. So my total upload speed is 19,000 kilobits per second, but you really need to keep a margin of like 20 to 30% for other internet activities, like a video that's playing on your stream, a YouTube video, or people in your house that are downloading things or watching Netflix or stuff like that. So then for my internet speed, let's open the calculator. 19,000 kilobits per second, we will multiply it by 0.7, so that leaves me with an upload speed of 13,300 kilobits per second that I can use for streaming. And since we chose to stream in 720p 60 fps, I will need 4,500, so that will definitely work for me. If your result right here, which is multiplying your upload speed by 1000 and then multiplying it by 0.7, if this result is lower than the 4,500 we need to stream in 720p 60 fps, then that's very bad for your stream. You can lower it and then stream in 2000 kilobits per second and try to make it look somewhat good, but it will be harsh for your stream. And also, if your internet speed is slower than this, then probably the upload volume that you're getting will quickly run out when streaming. But most people's internet speed will be fast enough, so let's set up everything for 720p 60 fps. Okay, let's go back to the Streamlabs settings, and I can position it right here so we can see both. So let's go to the video tab, and the first thing we need to select is our resolution. So our resolution will be, as we see right here, 2080 by 720. Okay, so let's select that right here and then also right here. Now there is some debate whether you should choose your maximum resolution, your screen resolution as the base canvas. I'm not going into detail on this. You can just select the resolution that you want to stream in and then select it for both of these drop downs. Then the downscale filter, we will set it to Lanxess, and then the FPS, as we see right here, we chose 60. If you have slow internet, choose 30. You can select 30 right here and then still choose the 4500 bitrate, and your stream will look better because you will be able to allocate more data to one frame because you're only sending 30 frames per second to the servers instead of 60. But if you're playing a game with a lot of movement, then I really advise you to select 60 because it will look much smoother for people to watch. Okay, then let's go to the output tab. This is giving people nightmares, but let's just go through it. It's actually not that hard. So the first thing, audio track. If you're having trouble with streams being muted, people not hearing you, etc., it can be because you selected a wrong audio track right here. Now what is this? You see that you have 6 tracks to choose from. Let's click on done and go to Streamlabs OBS. It pops up right here. Let's go to the mixer right here, click on this settings icon, and then right here you can see all the sources that are linked, and here on the right you can see the 6 audio tracks that we saw in the stream settings. So make sure that track 1 is enabled right here for all the sources that you want people to hear, and then in the output settings right here to make sure that you choose track 1 to send this to the stream. And then the next option is the encoder setting, and this is a very important one. Now what is encoding? Well, when you're streaming, you are capturing your game, you are adding your webcam, you are adding your graphics, your overlay, your alerts, etc. All those things will need to be converted into one small file to then send to your stream. Well, the converting of all those things into one small file is called encoding. And so in this encoder setting, you need to choose if you want to do the encoding with your graphics card, which is hardware NVENC for NVIDIA graphics card, or with your CPU, with your processor, and this is software x264. And you definitely want to choose hardware NVENC because that will use a separate chip on your NVIDIA graphics card to do the encoding, and because of that you will see almost no loss in gaming performance. Because the encoding is handled on a whole separate chip on your graphics card, it doesn't affect your gaming performance. And of course there are exceptions. People who have a very old NVIDIA graphics card will not see this option, and people who have an AMD graphics card will also not see that option. For those people, what you need to do? Well, you need to choose software x264 encoding. Now AMD also has a version of hardware encoding like hardware NVENC from NVIDIA, but it's not nearly as good, and you will almost always see better quality with software x264. And then one extra thing for people who have an AMD graphics card: if your computer can barely handle gaming and streaming at the same time, then when you ask your processor to also do the encoding, your PC will just crash, your stream will lag, your game will lag, it will not work. So if that's the case, if you have an AMD graphics card and you have a really slow CPU, then you will also have the option to choose the AMD version of NVENC, but it won't look that good. But of course, if you have no other option, that's what you should do. So in general, if hardware NVENC is available for you, choose this. If it isn't, choose software x264. I will now go over the hardware NVENC settings. If you are choosing software x264, which is encoding with your processor, skip to this time. Let's set this to hardware NVENC new, and then make sure you do not enable enforce streaming service encoder settings, because this will override most things that you're doing right here. Set your rate control to CBR, which stands for constant bitrate, and then the constant bitrate that we are choosing is this one right here. And when we go to this chart, we go to the NVIDIA NVENC column right here to 720p 60 fps, because that's what we chose, and the bitrate should be 4500. So let's go back to the settings and enter that right here. Then the keyframe interval, let's move this. Right here should be 2 seconds, so let's enter 2 right here. The preset should be set to quality, as you see right here, and then the profile, they don't explain it right here, but just leave it at high. Disable look ahead, enable psycho-visual tuning, and then the GPU can be 0, and the max B frames, as you see right here, B frames should be set to 2, as it is by default. I will now go over the software x264 settings, so you can skip to this time if you're not doing that. Okay, so the software x264 settings, let's change the encoder to software x264. Then do not enable enforce streaming encoder settings, do not enable rescale output, set the rate control to CBR, and then the bitrate is dependent on which resolution you chose right here on this chart. We will go to the x264 column right here, then to 720p 60 fps, because that's what we're setting up in this video, and then you see bitrate should be 4500. So let's go to the settings and then add that right here. Okay, do not enable use custom buffer size, then the keyframe interval, as we see right here on this chart, should be 2, so let's enter 2 right here. And then the CPU usage, this is a setting that's specific for software x264, and this is pretty important. Now what you're selecting right here is how hard your CPU will work to get a certain amount of quality. Now the lower you go in this list, the harder it will be for your CPU, but the better the quality will be. So if you have a really slow processor, then select ultra fast, super fast, or very fast. The lowest quality is ultra fast, but this quality will be low. So if you can go higher, definitely select super fast or very fast, but make sure that you leave some room for your CPU to breathe in case there's a loading screen that's taxing the CPU, or a program launching on a computer, or just a spike in CPU usage. You will definitely want to prepare for that. How do you prepare for that? Well, let me show you. Just press Ctrl Shift Escape on your keyboard and then go to the Performance tab. Right here you will see the CPU usage, and you should test this once we're done with setting everything up. So let me quickly go to the settings. So once we're done setting everything up, you will want to launch your stream, go online, start your game, start playing, and then see on this graph right here what your CPU usage is. If the CPU usage is around 50 or 40%, that means that you still got a lot of room, and you can change this very fast option, for example, to faster or fast. It's also possible that when you set it to fast, you start your stream and you game, that you will see that your CPU jumps to 90% and that it stays at 90 for the whole duration. That's not good, because that means if something asks a little bit more of your CPU, that it will peak at 100 and that you will get some lag spikes, etc. So you definitely don't want that. You don't want to let your CPU usage go above like 70 or 80%, let's say 70. So adjust this right here so that your CPU usage stays at around 70, and then you will be good. So let's set it to very fast for now. This is the basic option. Then set the profile to high, and then you do not need to change this tune or add anything right here. So we can just click on done, and then our settings are done. Now if there is anything else you want to do with Streamlabs OBS, if you want to add a countdown timer, if you want to add alerts, if you want to change your overlays, etc., all those things will be found in the Streamlabs OBS master course, which I will link right here. So if you want to learn anything Streamlabs OBS related, go to that playlist and you will probably find it in there. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that I will see you in that playlist. Have a nice day.
So you have your Twitch channel, it's made, and now the only thing left for you to start streaming is the broadcasting software. And you've been asking around and people keep telling you OBS Studio is the way to go, it's the best of the best. They might be right, or maybe you've been using another software to broadcast your streams and now you're looking to maybe switch, maybe you feel like you're being held back. Well, hey guys, GetLevel here, and today I'm going to be showing you the ultimate process of installing and setting up OBS Studio in order to live stream on Twitch. My goal for this video is to go step by step from downloading, installing, setting it up, and then putting some overlays in order to make it look good. So hopefully by the end of this video, the only thing that you will have to do is click that go live button. Now, although I'm going to be going step by step, there are a bunch of steps that you can actually skip if you use today's sponsor. Now, if you've been following this channel for a little bit, you know that own.gg/GetLevel is where you go to get everything customizable for a live streamer or even a YouTuber. But what if I told you that the real streamers use own.gg/GetLevel Pro? Seriously, OWN just announced OWN Pro, which is an OBS Studio plugin that gives you access to everything you need straight into OBS. Once you install it, it will give you access to a library of overlays and alerts that you can just scroll through, pick one you like, and then test it. Click on it, one click install, easy clap. Now let's say you want to add something like stream labels, aka latest subscriber, latest follower. OWN makes it easy to do that from your source list. You would like to display your chat box into your overlay? No problem. They're actually already working on things like a dedicated Twitch chatbot and a possible copyright-free music solution that avoids you from getting those nasty DMCAs. Now let's talk about fees. Ooh, you almost got scared there. You thought there wasn't gonna be a free plan. Well, there is, and the free plan is not a trial, it's free forever. So if you want to test the free pro, that's fine. But if you want to go pro, you can also do that. I'll let you check out the difference between the two plans. But in the meantime, go to own.gg/GetLevel Pro and step up your OBS Studio game. And one extra bonus about OWN is that they're going to be having some crazy promos during the holidays, both for OWN Pro, so own.gg/GetLevel Pro, but also own.gg/GetLevel. The difference here is one is for that OBS Studio plugin, and then the rest is for just overlay packs and alerts and graphics. They're gonna be having some huge sale during the Black Friday week, Black Friday itself, Cyber Week, and pretty much the whole month of December up until Christmas. Those promos are gonna be from 50% off up to 60% off. So just letting you know, okay? Links are gonna be in the description. Okay, so step number one is going to be go to obsproject.com/download in order to download OBS Studio. It's gonna look like that, so you can click download installer, find where you want to install it. Let's just click save here. So when it's done downloading, you can just click on it, and we're just gonna install it. Installation is pretty straightforward. Click next. Now, as you can see, I did not launch it immediately. That's because it is preferable to launch it as an admin. So if you add it here, it will probably show up here. It's not showing because I already had it, but you can go to more and then click run as administrator. Now this is what it should look like once you open it. If you get some prompts for things like, would you like to set up your automatic wizard, or would you like to connect your Twitch account? You need to say yes and do those things. My computer already had a profile, so it did not give me those messages. If you don't get those dialog boxes, you can just click on tool up top here and then click auto configuration wizard. And then here it will give you a choice. Optimize for streaming, recording is secondary. If you're a live streamer, then that's what you're gonna pick. And then click next. Base canvas, use current is what I advise you using because it's going to basically detect your screen and the resolution of your screen. Base canvas is your current screen, what you see. And then FPS, usually 30 to 60 is usually the basics. You click next, and then here it will ask you which platform you want to stream on. Select Twitch and click connect account. So you just type in your username and your password. If you have a token for your authentication, you can submit that and click OK. And then here you'll click authorize. Basically what it will do is take all the information from your Twitch account and then allow you to use that in order to stream to your Twitch account. Okay, make sure those are ticked. Prefer hardware encoding. We don't have anything to do here. Just click next. And now it will basically test everything. Now, when it comes to my internet connection, mine is really bad. I have 0.7 upload speed because when you're broadcasting on the internet, it's basically taking your upload speed. So that's what matters. Your download speed doesn't matter that much. It's mostly the upload speed. Since mine is so low, we're probably gonna get a very low result. And here we have the results. Now beware, because those results are not always perfect. For example, the server is automatic for now, but I saw that it was testing the UK server. So I will have to check to see if I'm on UK server or French server because I am currently in Paris and there is a server in Paris. Video bitrate 422, if you will most likely have something between 2000 and 6000, preferably. 422 as bitrate is going to give you a very bad quality. But if you know that you have a very bad internet connection, you should probably trust this auto configuration. Click apply settings. And since you're connected with your Twitch account, it is actually going to give you the chat right here. And you can see if I click and drag, it's basically trying to predict where I want to put it. You want your chat to be here, and you can always resize it a little bit. And this is stream information. Now, this is not really a useful tab right now, so we're going to close it. Let's click OK. The other useful tab that we want is the activity feed. Basically, we want to know if someone just followed, if someone did this, if someone did that, because we don't have alerts set up yet. So we're going to click on View, Docs, Twitch activity feed. Make sure it loads. We're gonna wait, and there it is. And of course, you can place it wherever you want, but this is very readable, if you will. Now we have our basic setup. Time to explain the whole principle of OBS now. This screen right here, this is what you will visually be broadcasting to Twitch. Right now it will be 1080p because my screen is 1080p, but the output on the actual website is going to be different. It's going to be smaller because the auto configuration decided that for me. Now let's talk about the important sections. Bottom left, you will find scenes. Scenes is basically segments. It's something that will comprise of a bunch of stuff, of a bunch of images, videos, or whatever you can display on one segment, on one scene. If we add another scene, we can switch in between those segments, and then different segments will show different things. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you what the typical Twitch scene setup looks like. So here I have just a video. This will show you in order basically what the typical Twitch scenes look like. The first one is going to be a starting soon. This is what you're going to be at when you just start the stream in order to let people gather around, get the notifications, and get hyped up for the kids. And then here we will have something called the intermission screen or the full screen webcam screen. Basically that is when you are starting the show, the camera is going to be on the forefront and it's going to be the focus. And this is where you can say, hi, how you doing? And you can talk with your viewers already. On the right side, you can see we have the chat, and our overlay still matches the same colors because we had specific branding for this example. This is what the game scene will look like. As you can see, the camera is smaller so we can see the game underneath it. And then at the bottom, you will find what is called the labels bar or the stream labels. And those are little graphics that will show people who have recently supported the stream by following, cheering, or subscribing, or donating. And then this is a be right back screen if you have to take a little break. And this will be a stream ending if you would like to display a screen before the stream actually ends to let people know, hey, the stream is currently ending. I don't advise you using it, but a lot of people seem to insist on using an ending screen. So there it is. Now that we have this information, we're going to create a bunch of empty scenes and we are going to create the typical scenes list. So I'm going to call this one, I'm going to keep the first one for the starting soon. I'm going to call this one the intermission. I'm going to click the plus to add another one. We're going to call this one the game scene. We're just going to call it game. We're going to call this one the BRB. And we're going to call this last one the ending. Okay. There you go. So the easy way of adding what we call overlays, which is basically graphics that will show on your stream, is to either create them yourself or of course, you can go to gumroad.com/getlevel, for example, and you can get a bunch of them for free. If it's your very first time setting up OBS Studio, I advise you using a static overlay pack, and I advise you using a free one. For example, this one was inspired by Valorant. You can just type 0 in the price box here and then add to cart and just proceed to checkout. And basically it will give you all of those images. Those are just images that you will be adding to OBS Studio and also to your Twitch channel if you want to. Everything is included in this pack. So the easiest method, well, we're gonna rename this scene. Let's right click on it, click rename, and we're gonna type starting. Okay, now one way to add a source is by clicking the plus at the bottom of the source list here, but you need to make sure you know exactly what type of source that you want to add. For example, right here, we want to add just an image, an overlay. You're gonna click on the plus and then click on image. We're gonna name this because there's gonna be a lot of sources at some point. We don't wanna get lost. So we're gonna call this the starting overlay. And we're gonna click OK. And as you can see, it adds it. Plus it opens this dialog box that asks me pretty much to find it so it can show me a preview. So we're gonna go ahead and find it wherever we saved it on our computer, and I'm gonna go find the starting soon overlay. Now it shows me, and I can click OK, and congratulations, you have your first overlay. Technically you can go ahead and click start streaming right now, but you would only stream this. Okay, so this is the first overlay. This is the first scene. Technically, you can leave this like that. It's fine for now. Let's go to the intermission scene, and we're gonna do pretty much the same thing, except we're gonna find the intermission overlay. Image, intermission overlay, okay, find it, and it says intermission.png. Okay, boom. Now there are two things that is important about this specific scene. As we saw before, there was my camera and there was my chat box. We're going to talk about the chat box a little bit later, but let's start by adding the camera. So we're going to click plus and go to video capture device. And that's going to be our camera. As you can see, whatever type of source you're adding, you're going to have to rename it. So this is our camera. If you have like a Logitech C920, you can also add that. This is the device, you pick the thing, and resolution, FPS, you might want to change that if it's like super small for some reason, but you know you have an HD camera that is 1080p, you can just click here, click custom, and then pick the resolution in this drop down menu. As you can see, I like leaving it to default because mine is working just fine. And then click OK. Now we have a camera. The thing here with the source list is that it's layers. So let's say that this is my intermission overlay, and then this is my camera. What happens is that you can't see the intermission overlay because it's behind the camera. So in the list, the order actually matches the visual order. So you want the intermission to be on top of it. Whoop, there you go. And now it works, right? Now, if you want to move things around, there are a couple of properties that you can change, but you can select it, the camera that is, you can round, of course. You can drag the corners in order to scale it if you have to. In this case, I don't really have to. But most importantly, which is the biggest tip here, is that you can hold Alt on your keyboard and crop it. Okay? In this case, we don't need to because I thought of it when I was making this overlay. You just drag it underneath it in the source and you're fine. We're gonna skip the chat for now, but we're gonna go back to it. Now for the game overlay, we're gonna do pretty much the same thing, but OBS actually allows us to use some sources multiple times. So we're gonna add video capture device, and instead of adding a brand new one, we can click add existing because we already added our camera. We can click OK. Okay, and what we can do now is maybe add a camera overlay. So we can click plus, image, camera overlay, and find a camera overlay. And this overlay pack, you have the choice between a short one or a wide one. You can go ahead and click on that wide one. It's easier because it's 1080p. You just drag the corners to make it match. Remember, this is our game scene, so our game is gonna be there, so we want our webcam not to be too big. And we're gonna drag it until it matches. Now, all the overlays don't necessarily match perfectly. So let's say if you have an issue right here, let's pretend that we have an issue, okay? We would click on the camera, and remember, Alt and drag the sides to crop. And now we have our camera overlay with our camera. Now, how do we make it so that if I want to move, it moves with it? Brought it back. I'm gonna hold Shift and select both of them in the source. Now I can right click, go group selected items and group them. Now they're in a group and it's asking me to give it a name. I'm just gonna call it cam, easier to read, okay? Now I can click away, and if I click here, it's gonna select the group. Now I can move them together and everything, right? I can even scale it together. But if I wanna add anything to the camera, for example, I don't like the fact that I'm looking here and I wanna look, you know, pretend that I'm gonna be looking towards the video game. I can right click on it, go to transform, and flip horizontal. I absolutely advise you playing around with every single thing that you see. You should really look around and see everything that you can possibly do. But we're doing the basics here. Now, what is missing? Our game. What will be our game? We want to capture the gameplay. Now, let's imagine that we have a game that is open. We would have to go and click on game capture, which would add a screen that is the game capture. And then from this dialog box here in mode, it will tell you capture any full screen application. So if your game is full screen on another screen, it will capture it. But we can make it specific window just to make sure that it's fine. And in window, you will in here. Now, and basically it will show you a 1080p game capture window. And again, it's gonna add it to the top. You would want to drag it all the way down so that your camera is gonna be on top of it. All right. Okay, for the be right back screen, exactly the same thing as the starting soon screen. Click image, BRB overlay, this is gonna be. Click browse and be right back. And those are pretty much the basics when it comes to live streaming on Twitch, having an overlay set up with OBS Studio. When something happens, it will show in your activity feed, and when people talk in your chat, me and Nightbot will respond. It will also show up on your screen. Those are not things that people can see. Everything that people will see on stream is what's here, according to the output resolution. Now, we have an issue here. Our issue here is that, as you can see in our art, it's not showing us any sources. And here it's showing camera, but we don't see a microphone. So let's fix this. We're gonna go to settings and we're gonna go to audio. Okay, so global audio devices, this is where it's at. Desktop audio is important. It's gonna be the device that you're hearing the sound from. It will capture everything that you can hear. Basically, the stream will be able to hear it. You can leave it at default, so it will just match whatever Windows has as default. For example, right now, my Windows has my TV, and it will pick up everything that I play on my TV, it will pick it up. Or you can pick a specific source. If I have my headphones on at the same time, I can also make sure that everything that I'm playing in my headphones is gonna be picked up. And then mic auxiliary audio is your microphone. And in this case, let's pick something else. Let's pick my VR headset microphone, just to show you. And once you do this and you click apply, then okay, it added those two sources in every single scene, right? Now our camera is actually not emitting any sound. So we want to hide this. We're gonna click on the little cogwheel here and we're gonna click on hide. That's it. To make sure that we just have desktop and mic. And of course, we have this little graphic visualizer to know that when we're speaking. If you want to mute yourself, you can just click here. And as you can see, it's not picking it up anymore. And now it's picking it up. If you play some sound on your desktop, it will move like that too. And as long as you see those things moving, that means that stream can hear them. Okay, now let's talk about the extra steps. For example, on this overlay, you're supposed to have a chat box. In general, you don't just want to see things happening in the activity feed to thank people for supporting you. You would like to see a little graphic that says, hey, this person just followed. Maybe a little sound plays with it. You would also maybe want to have the name of your most recent supporters at the bottom. Now, Twitch doesn't do that. Twitch does not have alerts. I mean, unless you're using Twitch Studio, but don't use Twitch Studio. Twitch does not provide those services, basically, those cool little widgets and stuff. Twitch doesn't really provide them. OBS Studio does not provide them either. So you will need a company that allows you to link your Twitch channel with them, and then they will show things basically when you get some alerts or change the little labels every time someone new follows and stuff like that. There are multiple services. I personally use Streamlabs. There's also Stream Elements that you can use. They pretty much do the same thing, maybe differently, but ultimately it's the same thing. So for this video, I'm going to show you how to do it using Streamlabs. And Streamlabs is a service, not to be confused with Streamlabs OBS, which is a software made by Streamlabs. Anyways, let's go to streamlabs.com. It's that simple. And what you do when you go to streamlabs.com is that you click login and you log in with your Twitch account. It's going to ask you to authorize and all of that. And now it brings you to the dashboard. Don't let this intimidate you, okay? Up top, there's a search bar where you can just type whatever you're looking for. You want the alert box that I talked about? Let's type alert box. It will bring you to the alert box settings, okay? As you can see here, it says use the URL below in OBS Studio. So this is the URL that they are talking about, okay? As you can see, all of those things are checked. That means that we are about to add an alert box that will display all of those alerts. If any of those things happen, it will show up from that one alert box. You can actually uncheck them if you don't want some of them to show up, but ultimately this is here, okay? So we're gonna click copy. I'm not gonna show you how to customize your own alerts in this video, but you should be using the default. I don't currently have the default, but you'll see. And then go back to OBS Studio. Now, anything that comes from a website, basically, that you want to show to display, it's basically displaying from a web page, is going to be what is called a browser source. So when you add that to your scene, you're gonna go find browser. And we'll call this one alerts. And as you can see here, it asks you for a URL, and that is the one that we just copied. So let's just Control V. There you go. Now, you can leave it at this size if you want to. That's 800 by 600. If you're just starting out, that's completely fine. Unless you have alerts that you want to be really full screen, then you can put, 1080p here. So far, so good. Just click OK. This is going to disappear. And now we have this empty box. But what does it mean? What does the empty box? Okay, basically it means that there's no alert going on right now. So that's why it's not showing. So what I'm going to do is show you how to test your alerts. Click here. So on the Streamlabs website, you can test follow, test sub, test resub, test all of that. I'm going to lower my volume and basically it will show the alerts in the alert box. So let's test follow. Remember, I have custom alerts. They're probably weird for you. Yours will not look like that. And basically a little graphic will show up with some text that you can customize. I'm gonna let you go play around with this page, but there you go. If someone subs, if someone gives you bits. Oh my God. Always scares me. And I have TTS, so let's wait it out. All right, now you have your alert box. Now, if you want your alerts to actually show, what you want to do is copy them. So right click, copy. And you kind of have to paste them in every single scene just to make sure that they show up on every scene. Well, we didn't make an ending screen. That's fine. Let's just delete that one. And just like any other source, you can move it around. You can play around with it and all that. Now let's talk about the chat. Streamlabs also offers a chat box. So back on their website, on that search bar, you're going to type chat. And you're going to find chat box widget. That's what we want. And we're going to do the exact same thing. It also works with a browser source. Now remember the order of things. We just added the alerts here in OBS. And as you can see, I added the alerts on else because visually it needs to be on top if you want it to be on top. Go back to Streamlabs and we're going to do the exact same thing. And we're going to copy that thing up there. That link up there. I'm going to click that plus. Well, we don't want to add chat on this starting soon screen. Let's go to intermission. Click on that plus. Click browser. And then click chat box. I'm going to select this. Replace it. But here's an issue here. We don't want this to look like that. Okay? We want this to have pretty much the same shape as what we're seeing here. So what we can do is move it. And we're going to play around with the values here until they look like what we want it to look like. So the width, we want that to be at least 400. Let's click away. Why is it not updating? And then the height is probably going to be 700. Let's click OK. Oh, that's nice. That's actually perfect. Oh my god, I nailed it in the first try. What? Okay, you might have to play around with it a little bit more. But there you go. Technically, you have a chat box now. If you type in your chat, it's going to show up here. And if you don't like the way the font looks or anything like that, you can just go back to the website here and play around with it until it looks like something you like. A little bonus tip is that if you switch scenes and you come back and this is empty, you need to right click on chat box, click properties, and then here it will probably have this ticked saying shut down when source not visible. You need to uncheck it, okay? That's why it stays here. Let's talk about stinger transitions. Stinger transitions are going to be at the bottom of your audio scene transitions here. And as you can see, I have it on a fade and I can play around with the duration of that fade. But there's a bunch of others. You know, there's also swipe, there's cut. So it's a little brutal. There you go. And you can add extra ones. If you add them, that doesn't mean that they're going to be necessarily selected. It's just you can add multiple ones and then you can pick them depending on which stream. It's going to add them because right now by default, I only have cut and fade that are set. And I'm going to have to add those so I can select them later on. Let's say swipe, add swipe. Just going to call it swipe. That's fine. And here you can preview the transition. You can swipe in. I don't know what the difference is. The difference is that the A doesn't move here, so the B comes in, or the A moves away and to reveal the B. Let's click OK, and then we can do this or that. But 300 milliseconds is way too fast. I like having mine to be at least 1 second or... There you go, that's smooth. Fun fact, this is actually the transition that I use on my actual live streams. Anyway, so chat box, what else is missing? Oh, the labels at the bottom here. So we can go back to Streamlabs, the website, and let's type labels. And this is where it gets a little complicated, okay? Because you kind of have to download something here in order to make it work. Let's click Windows. It's a small little software, basically that will be creating text files. And those text files will be updated every time there's a new activity. If someone follows you, there will be one file that's called recent follower, and someone else follows you, this file will be updated automatically with the new name. And this is what we'll be able to display. So while this is downloading with my very bad internet connection, I can show you what it would look like. You can go ahead and click text. And let's call this one recent follower. You would click OK. And this is basically the basic text source, okay? Type whatever, we'll show you here. And yeah, you can select the font up here, like this one. Click OK. Now you have a cool font. But when it comes to the stream labels, since I said it will be creating those files, you would have to click read from file and then browse, and then you will have to find where those stream labels decided to put your files. That is one of the things that if you're using Streamlabs OBS, you don't have to deal with this because it's already connected. It already knows what your labels are. But also if you use Own Pro, so that's own.gg/getlevelpro, it's a plugin for OBS Studio that will help you just click add. It's a plugin for OBS Studio that will help you just click plus, just as if you were adding any other source, and then pick your labels. without going through stream labels. Okay, so here it is. Let's click to open it. Again, connect with Twitch. Again, type your username and password. Again, authorize. And then here you can choose your output directory. That is where those files are going to be. Those text files. Remember? Talked about them. One easy way to not lose them is to create a folder on your desktop. Ctrl-Shift-N and call them stream labels. And go inside of this and then click select folder. All right. Wait a couple seconds. It's going to load up, your last activity. And I'm going to go ahead and open that folder to show you what's in there. So if I go to desktop, stream labels, and as you can see, there's a ton of text files. I encourage you to read them all to see what is possible to display, but we're mostly interested in the M's right here. Most recent cheerer, most recent follower, most recent subscriber. Now back to OBS Studio. Remember we had our text, we clicked browse, and now we're gonna find our most recent follower. Desktop, stream labels, I'm gonna type M on my keyboard, most recent follower right there. And I will have the name of my most recent follower. And I can actually format it again, select the font, select the size and all that in whatever font I want. You can click OK. And I can just place it. Why are there, why are there people in my chat? I'm not live. Am I live? No, I'm not live. Why are there random people in my chat? Okay, that was surprising. All right, so so you can just place the labels just like that. Now the cool thing with me and other people who make overlays is that they will create labels bars that are just graphics where you can just place those names so it looks even better. I was watching a YouTube video and looking at your panels at the same time. This is great. Okay, I'm gonna flip my camera because it's bothering me. There we go. Okay, that's better. So I was talking about graphics, stream labels, graphics that I call labels bars. Let's go back a little bit here. Okay, for example, in this, I have specific graphics. For example, if you're not affiliate, you can get donations through Streamlabs, right? You can get followers, you can get donations, and this is supposed to be top donation. If you are affiliate, you'll get subscriber, donation, and cheer, like most recent for all of those. So we're gonna use the non-affiliate one, okay? So I can go ahead and add this. It's an image. We're gonna call it labels bar. Go find where it is and add it. As you can see, it's gonna be added to the top here. Everything is fine, click OK. Drag it down. You can either put it here. If you don't want to put it here, you can put it wherever you want, but this overlay pack was kind of made for it to be here. We can scale it first and then place it. Now remember the order. We have our recent follower that is on top of our chat box, and our chat box is on top of the alerts. The alerts is usually what you want to be showing all the time. You don't want anything to obstruct the alerts, so you want that to be all the way to the top every single time, or you can just drag it. Put it up. There you go. In this case, we want our recent follower to be on top of the labels bar. Boom. Now here's the issue. If you are getting, for example, if you're setting this up right now and that the name changes and it's a very long name, it will overlap on your graphics and you don't want that. So one way that streamers usually do is that they add a scroll filter. That means they limit the width and it will not go over. So we can right click on recent follower and we're gonna enter the world of filters. Boom. Oh my God. Don't be intimidated, okay? Bottom, same thing, little plus, add a new filter. And what is it that we're trying to do? We're trying to scroll. So click scroll, click OK. And now we can find the horizontal speed to make it move. We can make it go crazy, but that's too distracting, okay? We don't want to get the attention away from our beautiful face, right? Okay, drag that to the side so you can see what you're doing. And here we're gonna click limit width. All right, as you can see, 100, too small. Let's click 300, still too small. To 3000, way too much. Let's go with 600, not enough. 800, that might just be it. Okay, nice. Okay, now you have to do it for this and that too. Oh my god, what a headache. Do I need to add a new one? How am I gonna make sure that everything matches? Exact same font, the exact same this, the exact same that? No, you don't have to, okay? Now let's talk about the power of copy pasting in OBS Studio. Let's right click on our recent follower and let's copy. Now we're gonna talk about the difference between paste reference and paste duplicate. Now right click. As you can see, you have both of those. Paste reference is basically pasting the same source. That means that it's linked with the old one. If you modify the first one, the second one will be modified too. We don't want that because we know that we're gonna have to choose a different file, right? The next file is gonna be most recent donator. So we're gonna click paste duplicate, where it's gonna give us the same source, but they're two different things. So I can modify this. I can double click on this and go find my most recent donator. Scroll down, boom, most recent donator, and click open. And if I click OK here, I can drag down here. Boom. And it already has the filter because we duplicated it, right? Now, the only thing that might get confusing is the order. Remember to put them all of them needs to be underneath the alert, but also you will want to rename this to recent donator. Just to make sure you don't get confused, right? And then we still copied the first one, so let's paste, duplicate another one, as DJ Khaled would say. And let's drag this about here. Again, double click on it, find top donator. So this one is all-time top donator. Again, take 30 seconds and look at all the files to see what is possible. Click OK. You're good. Now let's rename this. All right, and let's drag it down. I remember when we grouped up the camera with the camera overlay. This is too much, right? If you want to have a quick glance and know what's going on, this is too much. So let's group up all the labels together to stay with the labels bar. So I'm going to click on labels bar and I'm going to click on that last label, holding shift on my keyboard, right click, group selected items, and call this one labels. That's it, just labels. And we can collapse the group like this. And now we can also move the group like this. We can also scale the group like this. Just keep it here. Now remember the copy paste? You can actually do that for everything, almost every source. So let's right click labels. But this time we're going to copy reference because our label is cool. We want our label to stay the same, right? So if I want my labels to show up on game, I can just right click here, paste a reference, and my labels are here. And that's the group that I just pasted in, right? I can collapse it here, collapse my camera group. I want my alerts to be on top though. Okay, make sure you don't drop it inside of the group and you're fine. And you're just fine. Oh, I want it to be in my Be Right Back screen. Easy clap, paste reference. It's here. Make it in the middle. Nice. Another thing that I want you to play around with is the transform properties. You know, right click on stuff, go to transform, make sure you understand everything that is here. You'll realize that you can't just rotate stuff willy-nilly. It's going to be 90 degrees. That's the best way to know the limitations. Let's right click, paste reference again. Boom, pretty much. And you can place it wherever you want. Just make sure the alert's on top, okay? Right here, it would add it to the group, but up top here, it's on top. Just like you're gonna be on top of the Twitch game. All right, I believe this is all for a basic. All you need to do now is click start streaming and automatically pretty much is gonna, you know what we should, what happens if we click start streaming now? Now, you wanna go back to your audio mixer if you wanna have, I don't like talking about checklists before streaming, but the good thing is to make sure that you are on the starting soon, okay? And then you would click start streaming. Then everything would start. If you want to play music, you can open up YouTube. Maybe not YouTube, actually. You can open up your favorite non-copyrighted music service. And then when you're ready, you go to the intermission, you stop the music, or you lower the music and you're like, yo, what up? It's me, the brand new streamer on OBS Studio. I just watched the tutorial and now my stream looks amazing and I did not have to pay anything. And then when you're ready to go in the game, of course, the game is not here, but we have the game capture, okay? It will show up here. You can be like, oh my God, oh, I'm playing games. And you're like, oh, I gotta poop. And you'll be right back. And you go back to the game directly. Or if you're like, be right back. And then you're like, you know what? I'm not feeling well. Those tacos, they killed me. You go back to intermission and you let people know, hey, you know, I gotta go now, but we're gonna raid someone. This video is gonna be way longer than I anticipated, but those are the basics. Your desktop audio is gonna pick up your game. It's gonna pick up the music that you're playing. Again, if you can hear it, stream can hear it. Always take a look if you're not sure about, you know, audio volume and stuff like that. For example, you can see that the green is going here and not higher. If desktop audio goes higher, that literally means that your desktop audio is louder than your voice. Nothing should be louder than your voice. You're the host of the show. Anyways, as I said, Owned Pro will actually help you skip a couple of those steps. I will be making a separate video on how to install it and how to use it, just to make sure that everyone is clear and everyone understands how it works. If I forgot or if I left out a couple of things, definitely let me know in the comment section below. If there are things that you're just interested in, you would like to know about, let me know. I'll definitely be making more OBS Studio tutorials. I've been neglecting OBS Studio and everything changed since my last tutorials on OBS Studio. So once again, in order to get cool overlays like that, go to gumroad.com/getlevel. There are paid ones. If you were to add animated overlays, you would just add media sources. Let me show you real quick. So click plus and go to media source if it's animated, if it moves, because that's where you can get like movie or video files like MP4, WebM, .mov, .avi, and all that stuff. It's media, not image. But again, as you can see, there's a ton of sources. Make sure you read and you kind of figure out what they all do. The filters, same thing. Make sure you figure out what they all do. The properties, when you right click, what does that do? What does it do? Being curious like that is the best way that you're gonna actually be able to learn how the ins and outs of OBS Studio. Anyways, in the meantime, I gotta tell you guys, thank you so much for watching this long video. Hopefully everything was clear enough. Can't wait to read your comments. If you have any questions, any like more particular questions, you can also join my Discord. Links will be in the description. I also have a bunch of affiliate links in the description if you'd like to help out. But you know, just getting overlays from gumroad.com/getlevel should be enough to help me out and support the channel. That all being said, if you check top right of your screen right now, YouTube will show you what they think is the best video you should watch next. And at the bottom of it, you will find my most recent video. So check him out. Keep on learning about streaming. That being said, thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys next time. Go out there, make me proud. GetLevel out. Hey guys, GetLevel here, and today we're gonna be diving deep into how to properly customize your Twitch channel like a professional. I'm not just gonna show you where to put like your banner, your profile picture and stuff like that. I will, but not just that. I'm also gonna try my best to give you all the tips and tricks in order to optimize all of those things. We're gonna be diving into the psychology of some of those placement, those choices and everything. I hope you guys are excited because we're about to uncover a bunch of secrets. Now a big disclaimer here is that I give my advice based on trends and tendencies. So if I tell you, hey, people tend to like this color more or this thing and this, it's all general psychology tricks. It doesn't mean that if you don't do that, your channel will fail. Obviously, I wish I didn't have to explain how advice works, but you know, all advice is good, not all advice is for you. So if it doesn't apply to your situation or you don't want to follow a specific one, that's completely fine. You don't have to DM me about it. Anyways, by the end of the video, the goal is for you to know exactly why everything on your channel is the way they are. Every decision will serve a specific purpose. Alright, so before we dive into this, let's get a word from our sponsor. This portion of the video is sponsored by Owned. Owned is your one-stop shop for customizing your live stream. They have a wide variety of customizable products from your logo, your banner, your offline image, your animated overlays, your sub emotes, your loyalty points, subscriber badges, everything from start to finish. Now what I love the most is their emote maker. I haven't seen that anywhere else and I think it's pretty revolutionary. So if I go here and I select adult male as a character, I can go ahead and customize it and it will generate emotes for me. And now if I click generate emote, I already have everything that I need. Love emote, GG emote, hi emote, hype emote, etc. And the cool thing, the even cooler thing, is that this is a character ID that was generated. If I want, I can copy this character ID, and anytime that I want to come back, I don't have to recreate a character that looks like me anymore. I can just put in the character ID and then do whatever I want to do. They also provide gaming mascots in an avatar maker, but I'll let you guys figure that out. All you have to do is go to own.gg/getlevel. That's own3d.gg/getlevel. So here we are on Twitch. I'm going to be using my bots channel and then my main channel as a comparison from a channel that is empty, that you don't really stream that much on, or that doesn't have some of the things. And then my main channel, you know, to show you, hey, this is a full channel. There's a bunch of VODs and stuff like that. Okay, so if we come here, the first thing that we'll see is the home page. Now there's a bunch of little tabs on everyone's profile. So when you go to their channel while they're offline, this is what you will see. Okay, so on the top, of course, the banner. Now, if you don't have a custom banner like I do, it will probably either be empty or it will just say your name repeatedly. They have that little texture thing, so it's pretty cool. So first of all, how do you change the banner, or how do you pick which banner actually appears? So I'm going to click on my face here, top right. So that's your profile. And then we're going to go to creator dashboard. I'm actually going to open that on a new tab, and then we'll go to preferences and then channel. It's very intuitive. Okay. So if we scroll down a little bit until we start seeing images, you'll see that this is where you can change the profile picture, and this is where you can change the profile banner. Now, this is actually a banner that is part of the core overlay pack that I just released on gumroad.com/getlevel. So you can grab that. If you really want it, your channel could be looking like that. Anyways, so as you can see here, I can pick the generated background, click save, and then if I refresh here, I'll just get this. It doesn't look too good, but there's a thing here on the right side, which is where the accent color would be if you had a customized banner. The lettering, the texturing of the words actually applies to this. So this is a more uniform look technically. But if you actually have a custom image, you save it and then boom, you refresh, you will see that it stays a solid and it cuts here. So for example, on this banner, you can see it cuts here and it's not the perfect color. This color and that color doesn't match. So we can figure out how to make it match, or we can blend a little bit of this into that. So from the accent color to the banner, what I like to do is blend it a little bit, and I'll show you that on my main channel. So this is my main channel. I went with something that was mostly blurry. I actually have my logo behind it, but I know that Twitch actually shows it everything like that. So what I have it, so the setup that I have right now basically only shows my social media at the bottom. If you can't see the logo, that's fine, because on mobile, you'll be able to see the logo and also see the social media. And since everything here is kind of that blurry, technically it's my face and my logo in the background, I actually added a little gradient at the bottom of my banner in order to make it blend in a little bit better. Without that, it would be just cut like that. So that's your first tip here. In order to, if you don't like the way this goes down like that, you can just put a gradient in your graphic design. If you're doing it in Photoshop, you can just add a gradient. Okay, so let's go down to the profile picture. Now, when it comes to the profile picture, you want to upload it. I show you to where. This is where you would upload it. Here's my advice. If you have a specific color scheme, in that case, we have, you know, this blue round thing, or in my case, I know that my color scheme is that like cyan to purple. So my whole profile picture, you know, matches the colors. We're still on branding, even if it's just a profile picture. First of all, you will always get more clicks and more attention by posting a picture of your face than you will posting any type of graphics. There's no graphic design out there that will be more captivating than your own face. Believe it or not, it's just a basic psychology trick. It works for thumbnails, it works for profile pictures. People are more drawn to faces than they are anything else. Now, secondly, if you're gonna put a picture of yourself, I've seen people put pictures of them from, you know, from head to toes. This is actually pretty small. It is hard to distinguish your face and your specific features if you put a picture that has too much in it. I've seen people post pictures them with their wives and stuff like. It's too much. Try to put a picture of your face and make sure that in that tiny little profile picture that we see on Twitch, we can distinguish distinguish all of your features, and we can recognize you. If I see you on stream and I see your profile picture, there is a correlation. If you're far away, you're out skiing, you think it's a great picture of you, but it could be anyone else. So you kind of failed your branding if you could have put anything else and it would have been the same basically. Now, the extra tip here, for example, in this overlay pack, I included an avatar template basically. So this, you can slap it on top of the picture of your face, and it will give you that little ring around your face. So it makes it, again, part of the branding, you know. If you don't have access to anything like that, or you make your own graphics, you could probably add a filter that correlates with the colors of your branding, making your, like,